2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
To infinity and beyond.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show. Here's your host, Zach Gelb.
Live from the Play Show, yet not overly ostentatious studios of the Infinity Sports Network here in beautiful New York City, sitting on top of the 10th floor of 345 Hudson Street. Welcome on in to what is a Thursday edition of the Zach Gelb Show across all of our great local Infinity Sports Network affiliates, Sirius XM, Channel 158, the free Odyssey app, and of course, streaming live on YouTube. 855-212-4227 is the number to jump on in. That's 855-212-4227. You could always get at me on Instagram, where I'm straight flexing, or via the good old cesspool of Twitter X at Zach Gelb. That's ZACHGELB. We got a whole lot to do today. Jake Butt of the Big Ten Network is going to stop by, the former Michigan tight end. 40 minutes from now, we will do a full NFL preview for the entirety of the 4 p.m. Eastern Time hour, where I will give you my AFC predictions, my NFC predictions, and then I will tell you who will be playing, or who I think will be playing, in the Super Bowl, and we'll give out our awards as well. And then we'll get you ready for kickoff between the Kansas City, how about those Chiefs, and the Baltimore Ravens, a rematch of the AFC title game from a year ago, a game that I was at in Baltimore, but this time you will have the BBQ flowing. You will have a lot of people making stops at Jack Stacks, which I absolutely love. One of our sales guys, Adam Schifrin, is in Kansas City for the game tonight for Westwood One's production of the opening game of the NFL season between the Chiefs and the Ravens. And I told him, make sure you go to Jack Stacks. And he goes, what do you think? This is my first rodeo? Come on. He goes to Kansas City all the time. So I will be salivating at the thought and just dreaming at the thought of burnt ends, ribs, jalapeno cornbread, mac and cheese, and they had some great cupcake there too for dessert. So there's a lot. I actually got a very nice text. We have Nico Yamaliava Scarlatos producing today along with Stuart Kovacs. And I got a very nice text from Stu. If Santa was here today, he probably wouldn't text me. He would just hoard those sandwiches for himself. But I got a text from Stu, hey, Pat LaFrida is here. And Pat LaFrida has brought all these filet mignon sandwiches. And I said to Stu, because Stu was very kind and benevolent, and he goes, do you want me to grab you one? Because you know how it is here. They bring in steak, and the moment you've put that steak out there, and after talent already gets the food, it is like you had a hungry pack of wolves that have been just roaming, the desert for about 10 days and haven't seen one little morsel of food because the food is gone in an instant second. So I appreciate Stu sending me that text, but I was like, hey, start of the football season. I got a big gluttonous night tomorrow where I'm going to a Philly-based bar where they're serving cheesesteaks and all that stuff. And I love Pat LaFrida's, by the way. At Citi Field where the Mets play, they have the filet mignon cheesesteak sandwich, which is 10 out of 10 to die for. And my standards for cheesesteaks are very high because I lived in Philadelphia for 7 years. So I told Stu, as much as this pains me to say it, thanks but no thanks. And then I get in about an hour later, and they were cut in halves, which is good. And I saw that there was one little half remaining. And I said to Stu, I thought I had the mental toughness not to eat the Pat LaFrida cheesesteak, but I did have a half of a Pat LaFrida cheesesteak. So we get things going in the food department. It will, I guess, make up for the chicken sausage salad that I'm going to have tonight with my feta cheese and also my tomato with my balsamic vinaigrette dressing. But anywho, we got a whole lot to do today. Let's get to the breaking news that we have, and it has to do with Russell Wilson. So Russell Wilson back in July, the story goes as this. They were pushing sleds in practice, or maybe it was a workout or something like that. Now, if you're a quarterback, it's the ultimate Russell Wilson try-hard thing where, I don't think Tom Brady is pushing a sled, right? If you're the quarterback of a team, I don't think Patrick Mahomes is pushing a sled. So this idea that Mahomes, and I don't think it was how I envisioned pushing a sled, which is, okay, when I was doing two-a-days, back for Comac High School, you have the offensive line coach who's trying his best Bob Wiley impression, and he's standing on there going, hut, 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 or hike, hike, just over and over and over again, or push, 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 and you have all of us fat offensive linemen pushing the sled. I don't think it was that. It was probably a workout sled where you have a weight on it and you're just pushing it. But anywho, he was pushing a sled and he suffered a calf injury. So that was at the end of July. Then Justin Fields, we thought, closed the gap a little bit on the quarterback competition, but still, you had Russell Wilson be announced as the week one starter, where I don't really think anyone won the competition, but it was more so, okay, we have to name a starter. Neither of these guys really showed us anything, so we'll go with Russ just because he is the proven veteran in the NFL and a guy that's had a borderline Hall of Fame career. He is a 9-time Pro Bowler. So I didn't think much of the calf injury because he missed some time, then he came back, and you didn't think much of it. Well, Ian Rappaport a few moments ago put this out. Something to watch for Sunday. Steelers coach Mike Tomlin told reporters that quarterback Russell Wilson reported some calf tightness and is going to get checked out by doctors. He was limited in practice. So at first you hear calf tightness and it's like, uh-oh, here we go again. Now, I don't know if it's the same calf that he previously injured because it doesn't say which leg it is on, but I'm just going to assume, and you know what happens when you assume, you sometimes make an ass out of you and me, but I'm going to assume that it's the same calf that he originally injured back in July. Either way, I don't think there is a good chance that Russell Wilson, even if he's not healthy, is going to miss this game on Sunday against the Atlanta Falcons. Because if you miss this game and Justin Fields, who is still an unknown, plays well, good luck getting your job back. And I know people say, hey, you're not supposed to lose a job when somebody gets hurt. Tell that to Drew Bledsoe. And I'm not telling Russell Wilson and Justin Fields that if Russell Wilson doesn't play this weekend, that Justin Fields is going to become Tom Brady, but you get the point. The Steelers owe Russell Wilson nothing. The Steelers owe Justin Fields nothing. And Russ has the first opportunity to show that he's going to keep the job. Inevitably, because the offensive line stinks and neither of these quarterbacks are all that good anymore, I'm going to say whoever starts the season, I still fully intend that it's going to be Russell Wilson coming up in a few days on Sunday, will not be the starter at the end of the season. And I talked about this when it was announced last week that Russell Wilson won the job. Coming out of that bye week on November 10th at Washington against the Commanders, I do believe that Justin Fields will be taking over the reins of the Steelers offense. So some discouraging news for the Steelers, but I would really be surprised if Russell Wilson doesn't play on Sunday for two reasons. He was limited in practice. He didn't miss the practice. He was just limited in practice. And also, that calf better be seriously injured to a point where you could barely walk if you are going to end up missing this game, because there's no guarantee that Russell Wilson is the starter in week 2 if he misses week 1, especially if Justin Fields plays well. And this is a tough task early on in the season for the Steelers. I know people are going to say, oh, it's Atlanta, the division stinks. I get that. But the Falcons have a kick-ass secondary with Jesse Bates. You know, they just signed Justin Simmons from the Denver Broncos, who was somehow a free agent. They inked A.J. Terrell to that massive deal. So they have serious dudes and serious studs in the secondary. And that team's going to benefit, even though Bill Belichick should be their coach. They're going to benefit from anybody other than Arthur Smith, who's now ironically the Steelers' offensive coordinator, running the Atlanta Falcons team, because it was football malpractice last year with the way that Arthur Smith ran that Falcons offense, trying to make their quarterback be the guy. You know, the quarterback out of Cincinnati be the guy, and they tried to make him the offense instead of just handing the ball off to Bijan Robinson. You know what's kind of crazy? The quarterback for the Falcons last year, he was the quarterback at Cincinnati. He was the second quarterback off the board in that draft. I talked about him so much. You want to know how irrelevant he is right now? I can't even remember his name. That's why I'm calling him the quarterback. Give me the first initial, Stu.
D,
and then give me the
last name.
No, just like the last initial.
R.
I'm blanking on this. I really am. He was so dreadful to watch, and they tried to make him a stud last year in Atlanta, and I didn't get it. Give me the name.
Desmond Ridder.
Desmond Ridder, that's right. Very forgettable name, Desmond Ridder. Where is Desmond Ridder now? Didn't he just get released? I remember reading something at Cutdown Day.
Yes, I believe he got released, and now he's with the Arizona Cardinals.
Oh, jeez. You go from a starting quarterback to then getting released, and then you get picked up. Did he get released from the Cardinals, and is he on the practice squad? Is that what it was? After the Falcons signed Kirk Cousins, Wikipedia reliable source, Ridder was traded to the Arizona Cardinals in exchange for Rondell Moore. On August 27th, oh my God, Ridder was released by the Cardinals and then re-signed to their practice squad the next day. I understand last year there were some dreadful quarterbacks starting. Desmond Ridder goes from starting last year for an NFL team to he couldn't even be a backup. He couldn't even hold the clipboard for Kyler Murray, and now he's a practice squad member of the Arizona Cardinals. Whew. I know Desmond Ridder was at Cincinnati when they made the college football playoff, but that is and I'm not saying that's like the greatest thing ever. It's pretty damn impressive, but that's a huge, huge fall from grace. All right, it is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. When we get to the game tonight, I think there's a very good chance that the Ravens are going to win the game. And you know what? I probably shouldn't pick against Kansas City because it would be very stupid of me to keep on doubting the Chiefs. And it's not that I doubt the Chiefs. It's just that when they have won back-to-back Super Bowls, it's never been done before where a team has three-peated. Now, is it possible this year? Absolutely. But do I think it's going to happen? No. But if we are in the Super Bowl in New Orleans, at the Super Bowl in New Orleans, and we're there for a Chiefs Super Bowl, and they win again and they have 3 titles in a row, would I be surprised? Absolutely not. Because the last 2 years, the Chiefs haven't even played their best, and they were still better than all the rest. And that's just the reality of the situation. So, yeah, I was an idiot who picked against Kansas City against the Eagles. I was an idiot who picked against Kansas City almost every step of the way in the playoffs last year because they just weren't good in the regular season. They did what Brady did a few times with the Patriots. Come postseason time, you just turn it on and boom, away you go. And I thought the 49ers were going to win the Super Bowl last year. But now, when you enter this season, I kind of hate when I make predictions, and I'll spoil part of the AFC preview right now. I hate picking the team that wins the Super Bowl the year before. I just don't. And I know they've won it the last 2 years. So I'm not picking Kansas City to win the Super Bowl this year or even get there. With all that being said, can they? Absolutely. I would be a troll or just an idiot or more than a dope if I got on here and screamed, oh, Kansas City they won't win the Super Bowl this year, right? I'd be a moron. But when you look at the AFC, and I know now we're going to mirror the careers of Mahomes and Brady, and I know that they are different in the start of their careers, but Brady won 3 Super Bowls in 4 years right out of the gate. Mahomes already has 3 championships. And along that way, you deprived other great quarterbacks of winning it all. And eventually those quarterbacks broke through. The most famous in the AFC was Peyton Manning, where Brady, Belichick, kryptonite to Peyton Manning when he was in Indianapolis. And eventually, the Patriots, after winning 3 Super Bowls in 4 years, championships 36, 38, and 39, they lost to the Broncos in the playoffs, and then the following season, with Doug Gabriel and Riche Caldwell, the Pats were not only in an AFC championship game, but they had a big lead, a huge lead. Asante Samuel had a pick 6 right before halftime. I had tickets to the Super Bowl as a youngster, and I thought I was going. My dad was already booking my flight, and we were going to go together, a nice little father-son bonding trip. But then you had the Colts come back. And Peyton Manning, that was really the Super Bowl because 2 weeks later you're going up against the Bears with Rex Grossman. So you knew whoever was winning that game was going to win the championship. But Manning finally beat Brady when it mattered and then also raised the Lombardi Trophy. That, to me, is the biggest story of the NFL season this year. Who could be the Peyton Manning? Who's going to be the guy that prevents Patrick Mahomes from winning another championship this season? And I'm not even going to look in the NFC because, hey, the Niners, the Eagles, the Lions, the Rams, the Packers, they're all capable of doing so. But when you look inside the AFC, you have 3 quarterbacks who've been really close, but yet so far. And Joe Burrow did beat Mahomes once in an AFC championship game, but then they couldn't find a way to beat the Rams in the Super Bowl. So when I talk about the AFC, and this is not to be disrespectful to the Texans and C.J. Stroud, the resume is not just long enough, even though the Texans are going to be a really damn good team this year. The first 3 names you think of at the quarterback position to be the role of Peyton Manning this year, if Mahomes is Brady, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, and Joe Burrow. And when you ask me who I think is the best quarterback out of those 3, I would order them Burrow 1, Allen 2, Lamar 3, and you're splitting hairs. Burrow has done it before. But if you're going to say who am I most confident in to get the job done, Lamar, Allen, or Burrow, it would actually be Lamar Jackson. I know you're going to say, but Zach, he just lost to Patrick Mahomes when he didn't even play great in the AFC Championship game. I get that. But Joe Burrow has been hurt way too much. I know Lamar has dealt with some injuries. But we've seen now in 4 years of Joe Burrow's career, as great as he is, 2 of them season-ending injuries. If he's healthy, the answer is Joe Burrow. I just don't know if Joe Burrow and the Bengals are going to be healthy. Josh Allen and the Bills, I think they'll win the AFC East this year. However, with that being said, you look at the Bills, they are projected to take a step back, even though I think they're going to be better than what people think. And you look at the Ravens, I have kind of warmed up to the Ravens in the last 2 weeks. Because, right, they lose that AFC Championship game, and I was a big defender of Lamar. Oh, now you'll never believe in Lamar and the Ravens again. Their defense, even with some of the subtractions this offseason, they're still really good. And then offensively, Lamar, Derrick Henry, you got Zay Flowers, Mark Andrews. That offensive line needs to stay healthy. And you got a really good coach in John Harbaugh. You know, I look at the AFC and you say, Zach, if you had to make one pick right now, who is the Manning this year And who is the Peyton Manning this year to try to disrupt the Mahomes, like Brady kinds of comparison that we were talking about? It's actually Lamar Jackson. And just like Mahomes, right? Or just like Manning, a multiple MVP award winner, and they've all been close. You know, Allen's been close. Burrow has done it once, and Lamar Jackson had an opportunity to do so last year and didn't get the job done. But I'll throw some stock on Lamar Jackson and the Ravens this year to be the team to dethrone the Chiefs, and we get to see a little preview of it tonight. But even if the Ravens win tonight, I'm not going to get on the air tomorrow and be like, oh, I told you so, oh, it's great. Because the Ravens are now kind of like the Milwaukee Bucks with Giannis Antetokounmpo after winning a few MVPs and having success in the regular season, but not having that success in the postseason until you win the championship like Giannis did. No one's going to get jacked up and fired up with what you did in the regular season anymore. It is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. Davante Adams fires back at Deshaun Jackson. Do you believe Davante Adams? We'll discuss next. But first, football is back, and what better way to celebrate than winning some cash with Sleeper Picks? Sleeper Picks is a fantasy game, but you could win real money. Just pick more or less on at least 2 player stats. If your picks are right, you win. You could pick up to 8 players to win up to 100 times your money. And Sleeper has a couple huge offers to kickstart the football season. For new users, Sleeper will match your first deposit with up to $100 credit to your account. If you've already played, Sleeper's got discounted player projections for you every week of the season. So download the Sleeper app now and use promo code SCORE. And your first deposit will be doubled with a credit up to $100. What are you waiting for? Download Sleeper today and use my promo code SCORE for a credit up to $100 match on your first deposit. Once again, that's code SCORE. Must be 18 years in most states and in state where it is legal. Promo code and other restrictions apply. Visit sleeper.com. Please wager responsibly. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-426-2537 for help. Paid for by Blitz Studios.
You're in a 4-minute break. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. 1 minute remaining. "45 seconds remaining. "30 seconds remaining. "15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
This is the Infinity Sports Network.
All right, it is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. You will hear from Davante Adams in just a second. You know, Stu, it's kind of funny because this story isn't that old. Like, we played the audio, I want to say, last week. And it was Deshaun Jackson who was on with Jason McIntyre, who was filling in for Colin Cowherd on FS1. You know, appropriate credit right there. Some other shows don't do the appropriate credit, and McIntyre is J-Mac, whatever they call him. He is the sidekick for Colin Cowherd, but I guess Colin was out on a little vacation, and he had Deshaun Jackson in studio. And Deshaun Jackson said something along the lines of, I talked to Davante Adams. Davante Adams isn't happy, and like it's only a matter of time that he's going to get traded. I remember talking about this with you, that I anticipate that Davante Adams is going to be there through the season with the Raiders. But ultimately, because of the lack of good quality quarterback play there, you will ultimately see Davante Adams at the end of the year request a trade. So even though I say that, I don't expect Davante Adams to open up to everybody in front of the media, because you could want out and also be a good teammate. And I think he also wants to give Antonio Pierce a full season because they really connected last year, and there's a reason why Antonio Pierce is the head coach, is because he won over the locker room, and he was 10 times better than Josh McDaniels. But you also have heard from Davante Adams this offseason of, hey, the one thing I haven't done yet is win a Super Bowl, and that's the last thing I need to complete me. Well, here's a little breaking news. You want my hottest take to kick off the NFL season? The Raiders aren't a Super Bowl contender. And they're nowhere close to being a Super Bowl contender. I get it. They got Davante Adams. Great player. I get it. They also have the sensational player of a Max Crosby. They have Christian Wilkins. Like, they have some dudes. They have some really good guys on this team. But with that being said, they're nowhere close to contending. They can be a pain in the ass when you play them because their effort's always going to be there. But effort only takes you so far. And ultimately, at the end of the year, I can't see that this goes well enough where Davante Adams is saying, yeah, I need to stay with the silver and black. Now, if the Raiders can quickly navigate through that, and if they say, hey, Davante, I know you want out, give us a month. They go get Dak Prescott. They go draft a Shedeur Sanders or Carson Beck in the draft. Okay, fine. Maybe that makes Davante Adams say, I want to stay. But you look at the options, like Aaron Rodgers' reunion is still out there. Now, I wouldn't be running if I'm Davante Adams back to Aaron Rodgers because you don't know how much longer he's going to play. And then you could be in the same situation where you thought you had a guy with the Raiders with Carr, which gross miscalculation, but college buddy of his back at Fresno State. And then you think you have your guy back in Aaron Rodgers, and it's similar to the end in Green Bay where you know, okay, that's not going to last that long. You know, I go back to this, and I keep on saying this. Davante Adams, who says he can't go home? I go back to where you start your career. I know right now you're going to say all the right things. You're going to refute the Deshaun Jackson report. And I actually believe Davante Adams will play his audio in just a second. I don't think he's ever talked to Deshaun Jackson about his future. But what Deshaun Jackson said, I thought was more of an opinion, even though he tried to make it like it was a report and he was talking to Davante Adams, which is ridiculous and which is an incorrect form to do so if you're Deshaun Jackson. But what Deshaun Jackson is saying, I'm not going to say at the end of the year is ultimately false, because at the end of the year, I fully expect that Davante Adams is going to request a trade. And if he does request a trade, maybe the Raiders find a way to keep him and you bring in a quarterback, like I just said, Dak or Shador or Carson Beck, whoever it is. Can you trade for Kirk Cousins? But I would really contemplate, if I'm Davante Adams, saying I want to demand a trade back to the Green Bay Packers. And they got some good wide receivers with Watson and Dobbs and Wicks, but there's no bona fide number one wide receiver. And also, even though Jordan Love has to put it together for a full season, you bring in Dak, there's questions if Dak can win a Super Bowl. You bring in Kirk, Kirk can't win a Super Bowl. You don't know what Shador Sanders and Carson Beck are going to be as pros. We've seen a lot of good college quarterbacks flop in the NFL. Jordan Love right now looks like the best long-term play where Davante Adams could potentially link up. And there's familiarity with the Green Bay Packers organization. I would go back to Green Bay. I would go back to jumping around at Lambeau Field if I was Davante Adams at the end of the season. So before I get Stu's opinion on this, let's listen up to Davante Adams speaking to the media the other day. You almost forgot about this story, but he disputes Deshaun Jackson's claim that he's not happy with the Raiders.
The facts are the facts, and that is not a fact. I've probably spoken to Deshaun Jackson maybe 3 or 4 times in my life, and I never had a conversation with him ever, and I put that on my kids. I've never spoken to him about anything. Only person I really talk to about my feelings in general is my wife, probably, and she ain't out there leaking anything and dropping stuff like that in the media. So once again, whatever you see, if it ain't from the horse's mouth, it's probably.
So there you go. That's a pretty defiant denial from Davante Adams. He was pretty adamant about that. Now, Stu, I don't think he's talked to Deshaun Jackson about this. I believe him there. But it doesn't mean at the end of the year that he's going to be back with the Raiders and he's going to want to stay with the Raiders. And that's where, even though Davante Adams' intentions are right, because you're trying to dispute this story and dispel this story, it's kind of almost like Nick Saban when he was with the Dolphins. Yeah, I'm not going to be the coach of Alabama. All right, we all know when eventually it's time to be the coach of Alabama, you were leaving the NFL for Alabama. This is what Davante Adams is going through. He's trying to be a good teammate, trying to be a good dude because he likes a lot of the guys in the locker room. I'm going to be here. I'm not thinking about leaving the Raiders. We all saw a wide receiver where, yes, McDaniel's no longer there. Jimmy G's no longer your quarterback, but he was visibly frustrated with the state of this team. And even himself said, I'm going to get killed. I got to get up on out of here. I know you have a new quarterback, and Jimmy G stunk, but it's not like bringing in Gardner Minshew or Aiden O'Connell is this massive upgrade. And last time I checked, Gardner Minshew isn't Patrick Mahomes, all right? So I do think at the end of the year, Davante Adams going, gone.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't believe him. I just think there's too much fuel there where, like you said, the documentary kind of brought that up. He's made comments in the past. And look, I do credit him for not, at this point, saying trade me. Like, he's at least trying to see it out, see what happens early in the season. I can even see a deadline move possible as well.
Really? I think it's just tough in season.
It is, and I know he makes close to $30 million, so that does make it more difficult. But, I mean, if this team is, 2-7, why not? Like, at that point.
Fair.
Because that's going to be through 9 weeks when the trade deadline is this year. So they could easily be 3-6, 2-7. If they're at that point, I mean, sure, maybe you hold on for the chance to play with a Dak Prescott or something. But even if it's a rookie, even if it's Shador or Carson Beck, let's just say, why does he want to hang around for that? I'd rather, like you said, play with Jordan Love, play with Aaron Rodgers for one more year, or go somewhere else where he can at least compete for a Super Bowl before he really starts to fall off.
Jordan Love, I would go to second back to Green Bay. To just go reconnect with Aaron Rodgers, if let's say they drafted Shador Sanders, I personally would rather stay with the Raiders, even though you'd be competing for a year. It's just the long-term play. Yes, we don't know if Shador Sanders is going to be good. I do think he would still leave. But Aaron Rodgers, you're going to the Jets, and then he has 1 year left. Here's the thing. When is his contract up? Because with that being said, if we want to actually throw some substance behind this, if, let's say, it lines up with when Rodgers is going to retire anyway, and he's under contract through 2026. So, okay, you play this year out with the Raiders. Then next year, if you go back to New York, you reconnect with Rodgers. And then you only got 1 year left in your deal. So if Rodgers leaves the Jets and you want to go somewhere else, it's easier to move that deal with 1 year remaining. And the dead cap then, it's for the Raiders anyway, was 7.8. So there's not like there's like a ton of guaranteed money left on the team that's acquiring the contract of Devontae Adams anyway. It is Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. If you had to guess right now, where's Devontae Adams next year, Stu? I feel like you're going to say the Jets, right?
I'm going to say the Jets, yeah. Packers is the right move, but Jets, I think.
I'm going to say the Packers. That's what I'm going to roll with. All righty, 855-212-4227, 855-212-4227. It is the Zach Gelb Show. We will come on back. We'll do a little Big Ten talk with the big weekend of Big Ten football. Jake Butt, the former Michigan tight end, and now Big Ten Network analyst, will join us on the other side. Update time first. Here he is, the Ack Man, Rich Ackerman.
Infinity Sports Network. Sports Flash.
Well, the Chiefs will try to become the first team in NFL history to three-peat. The season begins tonight with the defending champs hosting the Ravens in the opener. After the Super Bowl, Patrick Mahomes said being on the field tonight is as big as it gets.
Great opportunity for the guys. I mean, to see what it's like to be on the biggest stage. I mean, obviously you want to play in the Super Bowl at the end of the year, but this is a big stage as well. And so to be able to get that experience to play a great football team, I'm excited for these guys to get out there and the guys that haven't been here see what it's like to be on that type of stage.
The Ravens are looking to avenge the loss in the conference championship last year. Lamar Jackson 1-4 against Kansas City. Baseball this afternoon. The Twins have a 4-3 lead over the Rays in the bottom of the ninth, and the Reds on top of the Astros 1-0 top of the ninth. And right now, the only run in that game has come courtesy of a Ty France home run. A pair of Americans are still left in the women's draw at the U.S. Open. Emma Navarro tries to continue her impressive run when she faces second-seeded Aryna Sabalenka, and Jessica Pegula got past top-seed Iga Swiatek and will now face Karolina Muchova in the other semifinal. I'm Rich Ackerman.
The Infinity Sports Network is on your smart speaker. All you have to say is play Infinity Sports Network. That's it. Play Infinity Sports Network.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining.
2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
This is the Infinity Sports Network.
Alrighty, this is Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. This portion of the show is sponsored by Hyundai's bold family of EVs that bring a new kind of energy to your journey. The Ioniq 5 and the 5N Ioniq 6 and Kona Electric, the most electric EV lineup. Let's welcome in to talk a little Big Ten football. The former tight end at Michigan now does a great job as an analyst for the Big Ten Network, and that's our buddy Jake Butt. Jake, appreciate the time. Thanks so much for doing this, and how are you?
I'm doing great, man. I mean, gosh, what an opening weekend. And now we got the banger Texas, Michigan at noon on Saturday. No looking back now, man. NFL tonight. We're in the thick of football season.
Yeah, I'll get to Texas and your alma mater, Michigan, in just a bit, but I got to start things off with Dylan Raiola. I know it's only one game. You get the comparisons to Mahomes, but there were some throws in that game where I was like, hold on, wait a second. Am I watching the Kansas City Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes? Very impressive performance by Raiola.
I'm not ready to call him Patrick Mahomes, but when he stepped up in the pocket and ripped it sidearm, it looked like Pat Mahomes, maybe Matt Stafford. So, look, you can still look at cues, right? Like you can look back to the spring game. We can look back at the headlines throughout camp and say, this guy isn't presenting like a freshman. You know, his uncle was the offensive line coach. His dad played at Nebraska. Like he grew up understanding what's required to be an elite college football player. And that's basically what he showed week one. And I understand the opponent, but a lot of his game translates. What I really liked to see was his poise at the line of scrimmage. Multiple times was he checking plays at the line of scrimmage. There was a few times where he checked a play and then checked into another play when the defense countered. Like the game looks slowed down to him, and clearly he has all the talent in the world. If he can anticipate what the defense is presenting, he has the ability to put the ball exactly where he wants it to be.
Once again, it's only one game. They have a huge test coming up on Saturday night, but so far, Jake, he doesn't look like a freshman, and that's the best thing you could say about him so far.
Yeah. And I really in this game, it's it's about more than just him because, you're playing Shedeur Sanders, who may be the best quarterback in college football right now. He's loaded. And the story last year was the turnovers, which has been the story for Nebraska for forever. They won the battle in the trenches. They had 8 sacks, less than 60 net yards rushing allowed to Colorado. But their offense didn't do them any favors because they gave the ball away 4 times. So for me, this game is won and lost in the trenches. Can Nebraska run the ball and control the clock without giving up turnovers? And can their defensive line get to Shedeur before, he gets the ball out to Travis Hunter? For Nebraska to win, they got to take Colorado into their world.
And here's the thing with Colorado, Jake Butt. Everyone talked about, they revamped the offensive line. They improved the offensive line. It's still a bad offensive line, even though you could say it got better from where they were a year ago. Just because you revamp something doesn't mean it's up to par to where an offensive line should be. And we kind of saw that on full display against North Dakota State. It was like, Shedeur, go run around and turn garbage into gold.
Yeah, no, I'm not sold on Colorado's trenches on really either side of the ball. I don't think that they have the ability to dominate games. And look, that Nebraska defensive front is feisty. And Tony White loves to bring pressure from all different types of places. So again, that's the battle of this game. And it's what makes Shedeur so special. I mean, that guy can create something out of nothing. And when that ball leaves his hands, it goes to very tight windows. But they're going to have trouble blocking this blitz package of Tony White. And they'll need to give Shedeur time if they want to win this game, thinking about Colorado.
When I look at who's under the most pressure this week, right? Everyone's going to talk about Coach Prime and Travis Hunter and Shedeur and Dylan Raiola. I say this as a Temple grad, someone that knows Matt Rule very well and have been around him. This is a huge moment, I think, for Matt Rule, because I went out to Lincoln last year when Michigan destroyed them. And this fan base, they show up all the time. They're a great fan base. They're dying for a winner. Once again, they want to go to games, eat their runzas, and actually see a winning product. This is a huge moment early on in the Matt Rule era in Lincoln. And, hey, he's got to go find the way to win this game and should win this game on Saturday night.
Yeah, it's for both teams. It's a huge game. And Colorado's kind of done it to themselves. They spent the whole offseason telling everyone that every time they come to town, it's Super Bowl, right? Like they talk. Shedeur said he's going to pick the team he's drafted to next year, right? It's Deion Sanders. We know how he operates, and that's cool. But what happens when you face adversity? What happens if you lose? Like, the loser of this game is going, there will be a winner and a loser. The loser of this game is going to have some mental hurdles to overcome. Absolutely. And that's a thought that's planted in the psyche of these teams before they take the field. So when adversity hits, which it will, how does each team respond?
Jake Butt here with us. All right, let's get to Michigan. After game one, the offense did not look great. I think that's an understatement. I talked to John Jansen about 2 weeks ago. I always thought it was going to be Alex Orji starting, and he said no, he expects it to be Davis Warren. What did you make of the Michigan quarterback situation after 1 week?
Well, I just don't think that they're going to win. I'm hesitant to be critical of Davis Warren as much as I am about the offensive line, because I understand the winning formula for Michigan starts up front. And, Davis Warren, he's a phenomenal story and a phenomenal kid, but I don't know that he has the raw talent to overcome things around him. So what that means is they got to be able to run the ball. They got to be able to get ahead of the sticks. They got to be able to impose fear into the opponent from their rushing attack, so then they can get into play action and open everything up. So to me, it all starts up front. I actually didn't think he played terrible. I understand the interception, but that's the correct read. The guy was open, Frederick Moore. The ball needs to be up earlier. It needs to be placed a little bit differently. And all of a sudden, instead of having one interception, he has 200 yards and a touchdown. So 2 touchdowns because he hit Colson Loveland. So, little minor details will decide this game this weekend. They don't have the room for error against Texas that they did against Fresno State.
And everyone's going to pick against Michigan. Heck, the spread opened up at 4. It's now up to 7.5. Is this a spot, just with how college football is, everyone thinks one team's going to win and Texas is going to blow out Michigan, where this game, I'm not going to say Michigan's going to win, but is a little bit closer than what people anticipate in week 2?
Well, I think what's important to remember is how Michigan's defense, I'm just being honest with you. They have 3 first-rounders right now. Will Johnson is a top 10 pick. Mason Graham's a top 10 pick. I believe Kenneth Grant is a top 10 pick. And then the way Josiah Stewart, their edge, played last week, if he plays like that all year, he's a fringe first-rounder. And Jayshon Barham, their linebacker, is a fringe first. They might have 5 first-round picks and maybe 6 guys go by day 2 of next year's draft. Hard to blow out teams when you're facing that level of defense, right? Like, as say what you want about everything else, it's going to be hard to move the ball against this Michigan defense. So that's the winning formula for Michigan. Really, is can their defense? If Michigan wins, it'll be a low scoring game led by their defensive play.
Jake Butt here with us. Let's get to Boise State up against Oregon. Oregon did not look great in week 1 going up against Idaho. They only won the game by 10 points. Boise's running back, Ashton Jeanty, was unbelievable with 6 touchdowns and over 260 rushing yards. But I think something that wasn't really talked about in that one is the Boise State defense did not look good. This feels like, even though it's 2 good programs, a good favorable bounce back spot for the Ducks, even though they win, to just kind of show their offense is what people thought it was going to be heading into the season.
Well, it really has to be, and to me, this game is all about Oregon. And I mean, Ashton Jeanty is a freaking beast. It's going to be a different beast going up against this Oregon defense. I mean, they played really well, all things considered, against Idaho. But this game is about Oregon. We spent all offseason. They were picked to win the national title by a number of analysts. You know, we talk about the most talented rosters in the Big Ten. It's them in Ohio State. They certainly didn't look like it week 1. And I think what's the bad taste they should have in their mouth is they have a good offensive line. Certainly not as bad as they played last week. They didn't even average 3 yards per carry. You got Dylan Gabriel throwing the ball 49 times. At some point, you have to flex your muscles and impose your will. You're Oregon. You've recruited as well as anyone. You have skill at every single position. To me, this starts up front. They have to be able to run the ball to keep Boise State off the field and control the game a little bit more than what they did last week.
I don't like giving Penn State compliments, but after week 1, Jake, my oh my, new offensive coordinator coming over from Kansas. They just dominated a good team in West Virginia. How authentic of a version do you think that was with what we saw from Penn State in week 1?
It was just schematically, like, not to get too deep in the X's and O's, but last year, Penn State, there was nothing explosive about that offense. Like, it was hard to breathe watching them. Everything happened within 10 yards of the line of scrimmage. You know, Nicholas Singleton as a freshman, I think he led the country in runs of 40-plus yards. He's explosive. There was none of that last year. So then they go out and hire Anthony Kotelnicki from Kansas, and what he's specialized in is creating explosive offense through motion and personnel. Well, we saw that immediately week 1 versus West Virginia. All of a sudden, they're pushing the ball down the field. All of a sudden, there's space for Nicholas Singleton to break a tackle and cruise into the end zone for a long run. That's the difference maker here. James Franklin's recruited really well. That roster is talented. They put guys into the NFL as well as anybody, but they needed some, like, an orchestrator, which I think Kotelnicki is, to kind of gel all this talent together. And I'll tell you this, we're looking to see who their wide receiver 1 was going to be. Harrison Wallace, I think he could be really special this year.
Let me get to USC. Lincoln Riley needed a win after what happened a year ago. They find a way to pull it out at the end with Miller Moss up against LSU. What do you think USC is capable of this year as they enter their first season in the Big Ten?
There's no reason they can't be in that conversation of winning the conference this year. There was not a more impressive win than what USC did against LSU week 1. And, you know, Lincoln Riley caught a ton of flack this offseason. And I just didn't understand it, because what we know, we can look back in time, whoever is the quarterback for Lincoln Riley is inserted into that Heisman conversation. And Miller Moss has looked damn good here in his first 2 starts. But the question mark was, what's the defense going to look like? Danton Lynn proved that he has that defense playing completely different than last year. One thing I never saw on tape was USC's front 7 putting guys on their back. That's LSU, and they had linebackers filling holes and defensive linemen winning with physicality. They looked like a Big Ten defense, and I think that's the most encouraging part, because I know Lincoln Riley is going to be able to put up points on offense.
Let me get one last thought in here with Jake Butt. Ohio State, the first 4 games of the season, they beat Akron. They have Western Michigan, Marshall, Michigan State. October, it picks up, though, in intensity with Iowa, Oregon, Nebraska, and then early November with Penn State. We all know the big game at the end of the year. What do you feel about Ohio State this year as it's championship or bust for them?
So I'm calling their game this weekend. So I've watched their game versus Akron, and I know some are more critical than others, and certainly it wasn't a perfect game. But what can't be denied, that roster is freaking loaded, man. They are absolutely. They have some thoroughbred horses outside. I mean, Jeremiah Smith, he'd be a first-round pick next year. He looks like a copy of Marvin Harrison Jr., and he's a true freshman. They got two backs, the best backfield in college football. We forget Emeka Egbuka is a first-round pick when he's at his best, and he's now the wide receiver. The defense is loaded and playing angry, and they were able to force turnovers. And I get it, it's Akron, but you can still see these subtle clues on tape that this team has progressed. One underrated piece of this: Ryan Day was calling plays. He sacrificed his play calling duty to Chip Kelly. That allows him to zoom out a little bit. That allows him to coach the whole team, start to think about clock management, situations, going forward on fourth down. That showed up in that game against Akron and will continue to show up down the stretch of the season. As good as they were last year, I think they're even better this year.
He's a great Big Ten Network analyst. Will be on the call for Ohio State against Western Michigan this Saturday on the Big Ten Network. He, of course, is Jake Butt. Jake, appreciate it as always. Thank you.
Anytime. Yep. Take care.
There you go. Great college football comprehensive breakdown of the Big Ten with Jake Butt. How about that? USC in the mix to win the Big Ten championship. That was something. A great breakdown on Raiola, also Ohio State, Penn State, and we'll see what happens with the Michigan quarterback situation this week up against Texas. We'll take a timeout. When we come on back in 5 minutes, AFC preview. 4:20 p.m. Eastern Time, NFC preview. And then at 4:40 p.m. Eastern Time, I give you my Super Bowl pick.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Infinity and beyond.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show.
And away we go, hour number 2 of our radio program. It is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. Appreciate Jake Butt joining us a few moments ago. A little programming note. We are scheduled tomorrow at 3:40 p.m. Eastern, 12:40 p.m. Pacific, to have Dylan Gabriel, the quarterback of the Oregon Ducks, before their big game against Boise State. We had Spencer Danielson, the head coach of Boise State, earlier in the week, so we'll get the Oregon side coming up tomorrow. And once again, we are now back on KTIK The Ticket, as if you're listening locally in Boise, you can hear me each and every day from 1 to 3 p.m. Mountain, right before my guys, Prater, and the ball game. All righty, we got a whole lot to do. Football in the NFL starts tonight. We've already had almost 2 weeks of college if you factor in that crazy week 0, and you already had week 1, and we get a big week 2 this weekend. But the NFL starts tonight as we have a great matchup in the AFC with the Kansas City. How about those Chiefs going up against the Baltimore Ravens in Arrowhead? So give me a little NFL music. I will give you my official AFC predictions right now. Then we'll take a break. We'll do the NFC coming up in about 20 minutes. And then I will give you my Super Bowl prediction. And I'll also give you some awards. We'll give you MVP, Offensive Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, Comeback Player of the Year, Coach of the Year. And then also we'll go Offensive Rookie of the Year and Defensive Rookie of the Year, which could be tough because, like, the first half of the draft, there was no defensive players taken this year. All righty. We start off in the AFC. I will give you my number 1 seed. I'll look inside the AFC North, a very tough division. We did see last year the number 1 seed come out of the AFC North. It was the Baltimore Ravens. I look at the Pittsburgh Steelers in this division. I don't think they're going to be all that good this year. I know a lot of other years they have made the playoffs. And, right, they never really bottom out under Mike Tomlin. I think the Steelers finally go below 500 this year. They'll be 8-9. I'm not picking the Browns to win the AFC North, so it's a decision between the Bengals and the Ravens. Joe Burrow was hurt last year, so he'll in all likelihood be healthy this year. Jamar Chase is now back practicing, even though they haven't figured out the contract situation. So I will take the Cincinnati Bengals, the one team inside the AFC East, or the AFC, excuse me, to actually take down the Chiefs in the playoffs as of late. We'll find a way to get the number 1 overall seed. Give me the Bengals, number 1 seed, and winning the AFC North. As the number 2 seed, Chiefs Kingdom, don't worry. Last year you didn't get a bye. It didn't impact you. You welcomed in those fraudulent Miami Dolphins, and you opened up a can of whoop ass on them. The AFC West is no bueno. The Raiders, yikes. Broncos, we'll see what happens with Bo Nix. And then the Chargers, I don't know what the Chargers are going to be this year. I don't have any real expectation for the Chargers outside of that I love Jim Harbaugh and I love Justin Herbert. So this sets up nicely for the Chiefs, not only inside the AFC West, but around the entirety of the AFC and the NFL. I like the Chiefs to get the 2 seed, and they will win the AFC West. For the 3 seed, we turn our attention to the AFC East. How times have changed, and I've had to adapt as a football fan, where I used to be very excited each and every Sunday or Thursday or Saturday night or Monday, whenever NFL games are going to be playing, because I got to see my team just dominate the NFL. And my team, if you didn't know, were the New England Patriots, still are the New England Patriots, but now we suck. We went from the penthouse to the outhouse, and life isn't fun in the outhouse of the NFL. Drake May, we're waiting for you to start. Waiting. Now, the AFC East is splitting hairs. The Bills, the Dolphins, the Jets, you could rank those teams any way you would like, and I can't yell at you. But with that being said, in the AFC East, I'm still rolling with Buffalo. Last year I said, this is the year the Bills don't win the AFC East. I said it's going to be Miami. And the Bills are practically imploring the Dolphins down in South Florida in the last week of the season to put them out of their misery. And Miami couldn't get the job done, and Buffalo won another AFC East crown. I know no more Stephon Diggs. I know Matt Milano from Comac, New York is unfortunately hurt to start this season. And man, he is so important to what they do. But I look at Josh Allen. This is a huge year for Josh Allen. And Josh Allen, in my opinion, is the 3rd best quarterback in the NFL behind Mahomes and also Joe Burrow. I will have Josh Allen winning this division. They will put enough on his shoulders, if not all of it. But Dalton Kincaid will have a big year, and James Cook will have a big year as well. And obviously, Deion Dawkins, the offensive lineman out of Temple, who he attended his charity kickball game, and E.J. Stewart from the Maggie and Perloff is still on the IL from tearing his patellar tendon. He's a Jet fan. So, already had a leg injury. Now, it's like, your Jets really going to find a way to defeat Deion Dawkins and the Buffalo Bills? I think not. Sorry, EJ. That wasn't all that nice. But I'll take the Bills to win the AFC East and be the 3 seed. Alrighty. Let's go to the 4th seed. We go to the AFC South. You know, so far you could say, Gelb, you're going chalk. You picked the Bengals to win the North, the Chiefs to win the West, the Bills to win the AFC East. There's no wow moment yet. In the AFC South for the 4th seed, I'm going to pick the team that won this division 2 years ago. And that is the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Jaguars were supposed to take that next step last season, right? They have the right coach in Doug Peterson. They have the quarterback in Trevor Lawrence, right? He was finally looking like he survived the Urban Meyer error. I'm not even going to say era, because that was an error. But last year, they got to a strong start, had a miserable finish. Lawrence got hurt. They were 9-8. And now everyone's slobbering over the Texans, and you have a reason to slobber over the Texans. Texans are a really damn good football team. But I think this is a Jaguars bounce-back season where Jacksonville goes like 10-7, maybe 11 wins, and they win the AFC South. So, in the AFC, my 4 divisional winners. Bengals win the North, they get the 1 seed. Chiefs win the West, they get the 2 seed. The Buffalo Bills get the 3 seed winning the AFC East, and then in the AFC South, I take the Jacksonville Jaguars. Okay, let's go to the wild card. 3 teams remain. Will the Dolphins make the playoffs? Will the Jets make the playoffs? Will the Ravens make the playoffs? Will the Texans make the playoffs? Will the Colts make the playoffs? Will the Chargers make the playoffs? So I did not pick the Baltimore Ravens to win the AFC North. So, since I still believe they're a very strong football team with Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson, and by the way, breaking news. I forgot to say this earlier. I probably should have said it. I have made my first NFL bet of the season. You know, with the season actually getting ready to get underway, because that's actually a lie. Because I placed a future, 3 futures. 1 was in college and 2 was in the NFL when I was out in Las Vegas. I will not reiterate what those futures were in the NFL because it could give away some of my picks for the rest of this hour, and that just wouldn't be good radio, folks. But I did make my first in-game bet for the season tonight with the game right in front of us. Stu, Lamar Jackson anytime touchdown. What do you think the number would be? Just to score a touchdown, not passing. I'm talking about him running or even catching one if he wants to.
Yeah, I think it's more likely than not that he scores one. I don't know. Let's say plus like 200.
Okay, so you're not that far off.
Okay.
It was plus 220. I saw that number. Derrick Henry was minus 125. I saw plus 220 for Lamar Jackson, and all these apps now since the first game of the season, they give you boosts or they give you free bets. I was like, we're loading up. We are loading up on Lamar Jackson anytime touchdown. But I look at the Ravens. They're going to be so tough to defend in the red zone. The ball could go to Lamar. Lamar then can hand it off to Derrick Henry. Lamar could fake a handoff to Derrick Henry, keep him himself. And then also, you have the speedy Zay Flowers, and you have a really solid tight end, one of the better tight ends in the league, in Mark Andrews, even coming off the injury. I take a glance at the Baltimore Ravens. I know they lost some pieces on defense. Still have Kyle Hamilton. He's a stud, and Harbaugh's a good coach. I don't have them winning the AFC North, but they're still going to be a royal pain in the ass for everybody else. And the goal is to get to a Super Bowl and win a Super Bowl this year. They've been close. And last year, after being the number 1 seed, that's the easiest road that they'll have, and they couldn't get the job done. I think their playoff run this year is going to start out on the road, not at home off a bye where it was a year ago. So give me the Ravens as the first wild card, and Baltimore will be the 5th seed. Now, Aaron Rodgers last year. The 2 moments where I just was left speechless on the air and I still had to speak were I was on the air the night, unfortunately, where we had the Damar Hamlin situation. And Damar Hamlin's now listed as the starting safety of the Buffalo Bills. I know he returned last year, but it's crazy that he's still alive and he's playing, because that night when you're on the air, everyone thought we saw him die on the football field. And no one obviously was going to say that on the air, but everyone was thinking it. Like, it was an awkward moment to be on the air. And we all know the great, incredible, resilient comeback story of Damar Hamlin. So that night, I was left speechless. And I had to do like 90 minutes or still like an hour left of radio. And the other night was when there was this entire like 3-year buzz about Aaron Rodgers, and he's going to leave Green Bay. When is he going to leave? Oh, he does the ayahuasca and the darkness retreat, and then he lands with the Jets. And when he emerges from that cave with the Jets and finally gets on the field running out 9/11, right? The anniversary, the American flag. 4 plays into the season, the Jets season is over because he had the Achilles injury. This is a bounce-back season for Aaron Rodgers, and the Jets won 7 games last year with no quarterback. Now they have a quarterback. I think the Jets are playoff-bound this year for the first time since, I believe, 2010, and I have the Jets as a wild card team, the Bills winning the East, but I have the Jets as a 6th seed. Now, we take a glance at the final playoff spot. Browns still alive, Steelers still alive, Dolphins still alive, and also the Chargers, the Colts, the Texans are still teams that I could pick. For the 7th spot and the final spot in the AFC, I'm going with the Houston Texans. Danielle Hunter is a stud. It was a great offseason move. I know everyone's talked about Stephon Diggs. in addition to Stephon Diggs, you got Tank Dell, you have Nico Collins, they brought in Joe Mixon, and C.J. Stroud is a stud. And he did not look like a rookie last year, only 5 interceptions. I like the Texans, even though I don't have them winning the AFC South, I have them snagging that final wild card spot. So that means in the AFC playoff race, Bengals get a bye, then I have the Chiefs going up against the Texans. I then would have, that's the 2-7 matchup, it would be the Bills and the Jets in the 3-6. And then the 4-5 would be the Jaguars, and it would be the Baltimore Ravens. So here is how we're going to pick those games. Bills, Jets. I'm actually going to pick the Jets to win that one. Chiefs, Texans. I will go with Kansas City, but that could be a tough spot. Tough spot for Kansas City. And then the Jaguars and the Ravens, I will take the Baltimore Ravens. So the Ravens are a 5, the Jets are a 6, and Kansas City is a 2. So that means I would have the Jets and the Bengals, and then I would have another matchup of the Chiefs and the Ravens. I have the Ravens beating the Chiefs, and then the Bengals beating the Jets. And then that would be a heck of an AFC championship game that does not feature Patrick Mahomes. And think about that, right? The Bengals would be there, and they wouldn't have to face Kansas City. Everyone's going to be like, Bengals are going to win, Bengals are going to win, Bengals are going to win. Lamar Jackson can't win a playoff game, a big playoff game to save his life. If you would have told me 2 weeks ago I would have been picking the Ravens to go to the Super Bowl, I would have said, what are you smoking? What drugs are you on? I'm taking the Ravens, even though last year when they lost in the AFC Championship game, I'm like, all right, I'm not picking them to advance to a Super Bowl, until they do so. But I will have the Ravens representing the AFC in the Super Bowl this year down in Nolens on Bourbon Street. All righty, so the Ravens are my AFC pick to get to the Super Bowl. We'll do the same on the NFC side when we come on back. I'll give you my NFC East, NFC North, NFC South, NFC West, my 3 wildcard teams in the NFC, and I'll tell you who will be getting out of the NFC and meeting the Ravens in the Super Bowl this year. But first, football is back, and what better way to celebrate than winning some cash with Sleeper Picks? Sleeper Picks is a fantasy game, but you could win real money. Just pick more or less on at least 2 player stats. If your picks are right, you win. You can pick up to 8 players to win up to 100 times your money. And Sleeper has a couple huge offers to kickstart the football season. For new users, Sleeper will match your first deposit with up to $100 credit to your account. If you've already played, Sleeper's got discounted player projections for you every week of the season. So download the Sleeper app now and use promo code SCORE, and your first deposit will be doubled with the credit up to $100. What are you waiting for? Download the Sleeper app today and use my code SCORE for a credit up to $100 match on your first deposit. That's code SCORE, SCORE. Must be 18 years in most states and in state where it is legal. Promo code and other restrictions apply. Visit sleeper.com. That's sleeper.com. Please wager responsibly. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-426-2537 for help. And it's paid for by our friends at Blitz Studios.
You're in a 4-minute break. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to the Infinity Sports Network.
NFL preview. Zach Gelb Show. The Infinity Sports Network. Football is back, baby. Tonight, Chiefs, Ravens. Can't wait. Stu, you got your Trader Joe's appetizer plate pretty much. You got, is it the empanadas, the tacos,
some
all that stuff?
quesadillas, some egg rolls, yeah.
I actually went to the supermarket today because I'm still doing my grilled sauce or my air fryer sausage, chicken sausage salad, which is not really all football-y, with feta cheese and tomatoes. I did have half of the Pat LaFrida filet mignon sandwich that was sitting out here today, as they had a bunch of Pat LaFrida sandwiches brought into the office today. So I'm going to be a little bit healthy there, but I needed like a good chip and a dip as well. You know, I will have some chips and dip tonight. It was like a nacho cheese chip, but it wasn't a Dorito from Whole Foods when I went to Whole Foods today. And then I got a Chipotle spicy salsa. That's what I ended up going with. And I want a little extra spice tonight. And by the way, I will be this week only. I'll be on First and Pod. So Andrew Filipponi, Danny Parkins, they do this podcast, First and Pod. Danny Parkins has left the company, and now he's working on FS1 with Breakfast Ball with Craig Carden, our buddy, and also Mark Schlereth. So they asked me, they have a replacement for Danny Parkins, pretty big replacement. And they said, would you mind filling in before we get the contract squared away with the replacement? So I'll do First and Pod with not with Danny Parkins, with Andrew Filipponi tonight after the Thursday night game. So I'll probably be released late tonight, early tomorrow morning, and then after the Sunday slate. That's not the announcement, though, that I've been teasing for the last day. I will get to that announcement, which is a medium-sized announcement. You know, people have been speculating what the announcement is. That's why I usually hate teasing an announcement. I was just waiting for all the T's to be crossed and the I's to be dotted, but we knew it was going to happen. Not that I was making as much money as Brandon Ayuk, but it was kind of a Brandon Ayuk situation. Right? I knew what was going to happen, but I just had to wait a little bit. So I said, all right, we'll tease it for a few days. I had people like tweeting me, DMing me, all these crazy theories. I'm telling you, folks, I said this from the start. It's not a big announcement. It's not a small announcement. It's like a medium-sized announcement where I'm just going to be on more during the football season when I'm regularly are. So anyway, I'll get to that announcement. Make you wait 15 more minutes. We'll do that at 4:40 p.m. Eastern time today. But it is preview time. AFC, I gave you my 7 playoff teams. Bengals win in the North. Chiefs win in the West. Bills win in the East. Jaguars win in the South. Ravens, Jets, Texans being the wild card teams. And in my AFC championship game, I have the Ravens and the Bengals, with the Ravens advancing to the Super Bowl. All righty, Nico. Yamaliava Scarlatos, who's producing today. Give me the NFC teams right now with a little music. By the way, Nico, we have another part-timer here, Scarpaccio, right? Scarlatos and Scarpaccio, however you say the last name, very similar. So every time I refer to you by your last name, Scarlatos, I pause and I think I have to say Scarpaccio.
They are pretty similar. The Scar at the beginning. Yeah, I see the confusion.
And your middle name is Nico, right? Your first name is
Peter.
I was gonna say John, but that's John Peter Baptista, PR guy for the Browns. But you don't go by Peter. You go by Nico.
I do not. I mean,
because your dad's name is Peter.
Right. If someone calls me Peter, I don't take offense to it. I could go by it, but I just prefer Nico, just because that's what I've always been called.
When you got yelled at as a child, was it Peter, Nico, or Nicholas Scarlatos?
No. Even then, it was always still Nico.
I don't know. Can you really yell at someone with the name Nico? It's not like if I was yelling at you, if I was your parent, I would say, I'm assuming your middle name's Nicholas, right?
Right.
Okay. It would be Peter Nicholas Scarlatos, go to your room. Just Nico, go to your room. I don't know. Nico sounds like too nice of a name, if I'm being honest.
Well, I think I'm the favorite child over my younger brother, so I wasn't yelled that much anyway.
Are you actually, though? Because, I know I'm the favorite child in my family. It's well documented. But everyone says they're the favorite child.
I think so, but we don't talk about it too much in my family. My parents say that they love both equally.
Yeah, well, that's not true. That's never true. Everyone has their favorites. All righty, let's get to the NFC. 1 seed in the NFC. I'm going with the Eagles winning the NFC East. I have been so up and down, and now I'm up on the Philadelphia Eagles. They just have too much talent. I know no more Fletcher Cox. I know no more Jason Kelsey. But they have Jalen Hurts, Devontae Smith, A.J. Brown, Saquon Barkley, and Dallas Goedert. And so many other players, too. I like the Eagles winning an NFC East where we know the Giants are going to be bad. We know the Commanders, they have a quarterback. They need to build the rest of the team. And then let's be real, the Cowboys, they're just synonymous with drama right now and never living up to the hype. I get it. The Eagles were 10-1 rock stars right out of the gate, and they had one lousy win down the stretch. I think the Eagles bounce back this year. They dominate in the regular season throughout, and they do secure the number 1 seed in the NFC East. And the last time they've had the number 1 seed in the NFC, I should say, they got to the Super Bowl the last 2 times. They were the number 1 seed the year where they won the Super Bowl 52. And the last Super Bowl they were in, where they lost to Kansas City, they were the number 1 seed as well. So usually when home field advantage travels through South Philadelphia, the Eagles end up going to the Super Bowl. But we'll see if I pick the Birds to get to the Super Bowl this year, coming up in a few moments. 2nd seed, let's bite off some kneecaps. Let's get crazy. Let's get funky. St. Brown, Gibbs, Goff, Laporta, Aiden Hutchinson. The Detroit Lions are real. And the Detroit Lions, as they showed last season, are spectacular. Getting to an NFC Championship game a year ago. And they should have, with the lead that they had, closed the door shut on the 49ers, but they were not able to do so. I have the Lions securing the 2 seed and the Lions winning the NFC North. It's tough to pick the first 3 seeds. Someone had to be 1, someone had to be 2, someone had to be 3. And I do think the 49ers, Lions, and the Eagles are the teams that we're all thinking about. And you could order them, just like I say, you could order the AFC East 1, 2, and 3 any way you want this year, with excluding the Patriots. It's the same in the NFC when we look at seeding. The NFC West, I'm taking the 49ers. Ayuk now paid. Trent Williams now paid. Brock Purdy looking pretty awesome, rocking out with his Brock out. Always have to be careful when you say that. You got Run CMC on the defensive side of the ball, Bosa and Warner. We all know how great this team is. The Niners, they're not going to easily win the NFC West, but they will win the NFC West, and they will be the 3 seed. All righty, we go to the South. The Falcons are playing the role that the Saints played last year, where everyone's picking the Falcons. Last year, I told you there's no way the Saints were going to win that division. I picked the Falcons. It ended up being the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This is a decision between 2 teams. It's Atlanta and it's Tampa. The Saints are going to be bad, and the Carolina Panthers, I think they could be improved, but they're going to be nowhere close to winning this division. I'm going with Kirk Cousins. I'm going with Bijan Robinson. I'm going with one of the more underrated wide receivers in the league in Drake London, and a tremendous secondary. Give me the Atlanta Falcons to be the 4th seed and win the NFC South. All righty. We now get to the wild card teams. The first wild card team in the NFC, and they will have the 5th seed, are going to be the LA Rams. Puka Nacua, stud. Cooper Kupp, stud. Matthew Stafford trying to secure a spot in the Hall of Fame. You got Kyron Williams and also Blake Corum. And defensively, yes, the big fella, the mean machine of Aaron Donald, the human Hulk is gone, but they were able to secure Braden Fisk. They were able to secure Verse in the draft. I think the Rams are going to give the Niners a run for their money to try to win the NFC West. They'll come up just short. And since they come up just short in the NFC West, they'll be the first wild card team, being the 5th seed. All righty. The Green Bay Packers in at number 6. They will be a wild card team once again. The Packers have a legitimate chance this year to win the NFC North. The Packers are back to being feared with Jordan Love. You got the trio at wide receivers. You add in Josh Jacobs. You add in Xavier McKinney. You have Kenny Clark, who is such an underrated football player as well. This is going to be a good Packers team. And it's kind of crazy. I know that there's 7 seeds. It used to be 6. The NFC is closing the gap on the AFC. It used to be so lopsided. We need some more stars to break out at the quarterback position in the NFC to solidify it. But those 6 teams right there, Eagles the 1 seed, Lions the 2, the 49ers the 3, the Falcons the 4, the Rams the 5, and the Packers the 6. Any one of those 6 teams can get to an NFC championship game, or you know what, even a Super Bowl. Like, I'm not going to say the Falcons are getting to a Super Bowl, but Atlanta has a really damn good team. And if they're in an NFC championship game, obviously they'll have a chance to get to the Super Bowl. Now, I'll tell you who I think is going to get to the Super Bowl in just a second. I'll give you a little tease right here. It's not going to be the Atlanta Falcons. So, those are the 6 seeds so far. Eagles 1, Lions 2, 49ers 3, Falcons 4, Rams 5, Packers 6. For the 7th wild card spot, Cowboys in play. You look, the Bears are in play. The Bucks are in play. The Seahawks are in play. You know, could you get a little crazy and sprinkle a little love on the Commanders or the Cardinals? I won't. I'm taking the Bears. Caleb Williams going to have the most passing yards in Bears history. He'll be the first ever single season 4,000-yard passer for the Chicago Bears. He is going to have a monster rookie season. I know Keenan Allen's a little bit banged up, but you got Keenan Allen, you got Rome Odunze, you got DJ Moore, you got Kmet at tight end, you got a solid defense too. I like the Bears getting that 7th wild card spot. So that would mean the Eagles have a bye as the 1 team that gets a bye, being the 1 seed in the NFC. Wild card weekend in the NFC would be the Lions against the Bears. And let me tell you, that's a miserable spot for the Lions because the Bears are playing with house money. I would also have a matchup, a 3-6 matchup between the 49ers and the Packers. So a rematch of the divisional round game from a year ago where the Packers almost won. And then the 4-5 would be the Falcons hosting the Rams. Let me start with the 4-5 because it's the least sexiest out of the 3. I'm taking the Rams. The Rams go on the road. They walk into Atlanta. Hopefully that game is not on a Sunday so they could actually get Chick-fil-A in that stadium, whether it's a Saturday. It seems like a Saturday 4:30 type of game. So whether that's a Saturday or even a Monday, alrighty, I will take the Rams to advance to the divisional round. Now, 49ers and Packers already had one road team pull off the upset. Now we will make two road teams pull off the upset in stunning fashion. For a team that has Super Bowl or bust expectations, the San Francisco 49ers will be going home on Wild Card Weekend as I have the Go Pack Go! That's right, Jordan Love showing him some love, going back to the divisional round for a second straight year. And then, will we make it 3 for 3? Will 3 wild card teams go on the road and find a way to get victories? Wouldn't this be so Detroit? And I hope this doesn't happen. I want to see the Lions win a Super Bowl this year, but I'm saying Caleb Williams does what CJ Stroud did a year ago, and that's not only lead his team to the playoffs, but win a playoff game. Upset alert, upset alert. Give me the Bears to take care of the Lions. So think about that. The Eagles would come out of a bye week. No Lions, no 49ers. They should be able to get to the Super Bowl with the number 1 overall seed. So that would make a 1-7 matchup, Eagles and Bears, and a 5-6 matchup, Rams and Packers. The Rams as a 5 seed. We get a home playoff game in the divisional round. I will take the Rams to beat the Packers. And then the Rams will travel to Philadelphia because the Eagles will beat the Bears. Think about this. The Eagles' road to a Super Bowl, the way that I had this lined up, is to beat the Bears, not have to face the 49ers or the Lions or the Packers, and the Rams are standing in their way. Oh boy. Early 2000 Eagles. That's what I think's going to happen. The Rams, right? Cold environment, loud, raucous environment, South Philadelphia, Lincoln Financial Field. No one's going to pick them. Matthew Stafford quiets the link, and the Rams advance to the Super Bowl. So I have the Rams representing the NFC and the Ravens representing the AFC. Who's going to win the Super Bowl? Who's going to be the MVP of the league? Who's going to be the comeback player of the year, the coach of the year, the offensive player of the year, the defensive player of the year, the offensive rookie of the year, the defensive rookie of the year, and the Super Bowl champion, the Super Bowl MVP? We'll give you those answers, plus a show announcement when we come on back next. It is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. Here is the Ackman, Rich Ackerman.
Infinity Sports Network Sports Flash.
And it's sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Protect your home and auto. Save when you bundle. Get a quote at Progressive.com. The road to a three-peat begins tonight for the Chiefs as they open their latest title defense against the Ravens. Their success in recent years has put the team in the spotlight and made a pop culture star, I should say, out of Travis Kelce, who is amped to get going tonight.
I'm excited. Get to play another year of football, fresh slate. You know, get to kind of prove to ourselves and the Chiefs Kingdom that we're one of the top dogs. We can play at a high level, man. It's exciting.
The two teams met in the conference championship game in a low-scoring affair, won by Kansas City en route to their latest title when the Ravens were held to just 3 points over the final 3 quarters. Baseball action this afternoon. Rhett Lauder in his second major league start goes 6 1/3 scoreless innings. The Reds get a home run from Ty France to beat the Astros 1-0. The Twins edge the Rays by a score of 4-3. Right now, the Mariners lead the A's 3-0, bottom 3, and a home run by Cal Raleigh, and it's the Diamondbacks in front of the Giants 2-0 in the bottom of the third. Women's semis of the U.S. Open tonight. A pair of Americans trying to reach the final. Emma Navarro takes on the second seed Arina Sabalenka, and Jessica Pegula will take on Karolina Mukova. I'm Rich Ackerman.
You're in a 5-minute break. 4 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. 30 seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to the Infinity Sports Network.
That's what I'm talking about. It is the Zach Gelb Show, opening day of the football season, opening night. And we will give you my Super Bowl pick coming up momentarily. I do have the Ravens going up against the Rams. Who will win? I'll tell you in a matter of moments. The Dependable Player of the Week is sponsored by Depend and the Prostate Cancer Foundation, reminding you that health is a long game and screening for prostate cancer is easier than ever. Learn more at depend.com. And the Dependable Player of the Week is Boise State running back Ashton Jeanty. In the Broncos' 56-45 win over Georgia Southern on Saturday, Jeanty had 20 carries for 267 yards. I didn't say that wrong. That's 20 carries, 267 yards, and 6 rushing touchdowns. Now, I'm terrible at math, but Stu, if I had to put you on the spot, quick mental math, what is that yards per carry for Ashton Jeanty? 20 carries for 267 yards. What would you think?
10.67.
That was an exact number. Nico? Yamaliava Scarlatos? What do you got here? What do you think that was? 267 yards, 20 carries. What do you think that is yards per carry?
I would have gotten close to 10 as well, but not the 0.67 that Stu just came up with is pretty impressive.
All right, let's pretend this is Price or Right. You want to go higher or you want to go lower than that?
I'll stay lower.
Okay, so you go 10 point what? 6'6"?
I guess, yeah. I think he hit it on the nose. So
I think he's right. I think I messed
You miscalculated?
up the math. Yeah.
All right, let's see. Oh, boy. Guys. You guys are wrong. Am I doing this right? 267 divided by 20, correct? Correct?
Yes.
13.35 yards per carry. So Stu wins. You don't think those numbers are right. That's what my calculator
Doesn't
just said.
sound right. I don't know why.
no, it does make sense because 10
comes on down.
carries
Oh, yeah.
for
I was
260
thinking
would have
10.
been 26.
And I thought, yeah.
So you cut it in half to 13.
See, this is why we are not a math show.
Which is why I went to Rider University and not
That's
a math
why I
school.
went to Temple. I wouldn't even have taken a guess. I'm using my calculator as we speak, and it was 13.35 yards per carry. Nico, where did you go to school besides Tennessee?
Ashland University, D2 school in Ohio.
Ohio. Did you play any sports?
In high school, but not
not in
collegiate
college.
level.
Usually
No.
when people go, I went to a D2 school in Ohio, it's followed up with, I played like baseball or I played golf or, some sport. There.
Yeah, definitely not.
Okay. Anyway, give me back my NFL music, por favor, because I've given you now my 14 playoff teams in the AFC. Just to recap, if you're just jumping in with us, Bengals the 1 seed, Chiefs the 2, Bills the 3, Jaguars the 4, Ravens the 5, Jets the 6, Texans the 7. I have the Chiefs and Texans in the opening round. Chiefs winning. Bills, Jets opening round. Jets winning. Jaguars, Ravens opening round. Ravens winning. Setting up a divisional round weekend. Jets at the Bengals. And the Chiefs the Chiefs hosting Baltimore. I then have the Ravens and the Bengals both advancing to the AFC Championship game, with the Ravens winning the AFC. Now, in the NFC, Eagles, 1 seed. Lions, 2 seed. Niners, 3 seed. Falcons, 4 seed. Rams, Packers, Bears, 5, 6, 7 in that order. Opening round, wild card weekend of the NFC playoffs. Bears and Lions, 2-7. I have the Bears winning on the road. 49ers and Packers. I have the Packers winning on the road. Falcons, Rams. I have the Rams winning on the road. That sets up a divisional round weekend. Rams hosting the Packers, Eagles hosting the Bears. I have an NFC Championship game of the Eagles and the Rams, and I have the Rams advancing to the Super Bowl. So, Rams, Ravens, Ravens, Rams. I'm going to take by a score of, let's go, we'll have a 1-point Super Bowl. 24-23. Give me the Rams to win a championship, and that would secure a spot for Matthew Stafford in the Hall of Fame, Sean McVay as well, because they both win 2 championships. Now, the last time the Rams won a Super Bowl, Matthew Stafford didn't win the Super Bowl MVP. It was Cooper Kupp. So I could go for this MVP pick, Cooper Kupp. I could go Puka Nacua. I could go Kyron Williams. I will go Matthew Stafford getting his first Super Bowl MVP. So the Super Bowl pick, Rams over the Ravens by a score of 24-23. Now, let me get to my regular season awards. MVP. I've been saying this all off season long. I think it's set up because they're not going to try to give Lamar his third MVP. They're going to try to find a reason not to give it to Patrick Mahomes. I think this is set up as long as Josh Allen wins the AFC East, he will win the MVP. I have the Bills winning the AFC East. Therefore, I have the arm and legs of Josh Allen running and grabbing the MVP trophy. Comeback player of the year. I will stay in the AFC East. The Jets are making the playoffs. I have them as the 6th seed. Aaron Rodgers. Make the playoffs. You'll have impressive stats. He'll win comeback player of the year. Now, coach of the year. So this is usually for coach of the year. It's set up for a team with lower expectations that exceed those expectations, not just who is the number 1 seed in the AFC or the NFC. I'm going to take Doug Peterson, the Super Bowl 52 champion, to win coach of the year. I have the Jaguars winning the AFC South. Doug Peterson gets the Jaguars to win the AFC South. I have him taking home the coach of the year honor. Now, offensive player of the year. I think every other show would predict probably one of 3 players. Tyreek Hill, Christian McCaffrey, or Justin Jefferson. Right? The offensive player of the year has turned into a non-quarterback winner. That's what it feels like. And the MVP is for a quarterback. I'm going to take for my offensive player of the year, Bijan Robinson. Zach Robinson is going to use him a specific way that Arthur Smith should have used him. And I look at that Falcons team. They got some talent, but Kirk coming off the Achilles injury could be sloppy to start the year. I think they're going to ride Bijan Robinson all throughout the season. It's a rare breed now to have a bell cow back. He's a bell cow back. He's awesome. And I believe that Bijan Robinson has a huge year too, and he will win offensive player of the year. Now, defensive player of the year, I don't know why. When you lead the league in sacks 3 out of the last 4 years, I do believe you should be the best defensive player in the league. But when we get into these conversations on who's the best defensive player, some people go Myles Garrett. Some people have recently elected to say Max Crosby. Some people say Micah Parsons. It's weird because I do think it's splitting hairs 1 and 2 with Watt and Garrett. I really do believe that. But it almost feels like TJ Watt gets disrespected a little bit. I have TJ Watt winning Defensive Player of the Year. All right, I got 2 more awards to give out. Offensive Rookie of the Year and Defensive Rookie of the Year. For the Offensive Rookie of the Year, I'm going Caleb Williams. I really wanted to take Marvin Harrison Jr., but I have the Bears in the playoffs. I think that's going to be the difference. There's going to be so much excitement. I hope Caleb Williams delivers, because if the Bears don't have a franchise quarterback now, guess what? You will never have a franchise quarterback. And for Defensive Rookie of the Year, this was tough, because I think it was the Colts who picked the first defensive player in the draft with Laitu Latu. I want to say that was like 14th or 15th somewhere in the draft. Everything else before that was offensive player in the 2024 NFL draft. Yeah, because you had Bo Nix go 12, and then weren't the Raiders at 13, Stu, with Brock Bowers? I'm pretty sure.
They were 13, yes.
And then the Saints took the tackle from Oregon State, so okay, it was 15. 15 for the Colts is when they took Laitu Latu. And then it was Byron Murphy, 16 defensive player, Dallas Turner, 17 with the Minnesota Vikings. 18, there was a tackle from Georgia going Mims to the Bengals. And then in at the 19th pick was Jared Verse, who started his college career at Albany, which is crazy if you think about it, and then went on to be a star at Florida State. He was the 19th overall pick by the Rams. I think Jared Verse has a monster rookie season, and he wins Defensive Rookie of the Year. So to recap, 24-23, Rams beat the Ravens in the Super Bowl. Super Bowl MVP, Matthew Stafford. MVP of the league, Josh Allen. Comeback Player of the Year, Aaron Rodgers. Coach of the Year, Doug Peterson. Offensive Player of the Year, Bijan Robinson. Defensive Player of the Year is TJ Watt. Offensive Rookie of the Year is Caleb Williams. And Defensive Rookie of the Year is Jared Verse. So those are my predictions for the NFL season. The last 3 years, I had the honor of hosting Ion Football on what was called at one point CBS Sports Radio. Now we are the Infinity Sports Network. That is a fun, awesome show. You talk to dedicated, hardworking stringers that get you the news. And obviously, I had a lot of fun with the betting insight on it. Also the picks and the fantasy stuff. Like the way that we have improved the show. Like, Act started Eye on Football was tremendous, and then with the way that now we consume football, with how gambling has been so much accepted, we had to make some fine-tuning of it. And I was fortunate enough to do that show for 3 years, worked with Jody Mack, obviously, for the last 2 hours, and I've had great producers as well, too many, but I specifically want to highlight Connor Green and also Billy Giacalone, Elijah Stewart, and Carlos Ortiz, just for starters. But I will no longer be hosting Eye on Football. It's my decision. It's 8 hours. It's a long show when you're doing 5 hours, 5 days a week, during the week, 3 hours a day. So I didn't want to do Eye on Football anymore. I will still be on the air on Sundays, though. When DA was here, he did Sunday morning football. So I will be hosting an extra 2 days in football season. This is part one of the announcement. I will be hosting Eye on Football on the Infinity Sports Network, 10 a.m. to noon Eastern every Sunday. From this upcoming Sunday to the end of the football season, which is right through the Super Bowl on Super Bowl Sunday. The other announcement, I will be doing the greatest 30 minutes of radio ever, I think. I'm picking up a 7th workday, technically 6th, and then Sunday morning football is 7th. But I'll be hosting on WFAN in New York after Boomer and Valenti, Mike Valenti and Boomer Esiason do their NFL preview show. You will have your boy on from 9 to 9:30 leading into Craig Carden's Gambling Awareness Show. So I will be doing a show on the Fan from 9 to 9:30. So 9 to 9:30 on Saturdays on WFAN, Sunday right here on the network from 10 a.m. to noon Eastern for Sunday morning football. And obviously, 5 days a week, Monday through Friday right here for the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network from 3 to 6 p.m. Eastern. Take a break. Come on back.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
To infinity and beyond.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show. Here's your host, Zach Gelb.
All righty, this is Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. 2 hours already in the books. They quickly did fly on by. We opened up the show talking Russell Wilson dealing with a calf injury. We also discussed we need a Peyton Manning this year, right? Brady with the winning 3 Super Bowls to start his career, 3 out of 4. Now Mahomes has won 3 Super Bowls, and Manning was right there but couldn't get the job done. We need either Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, or Joe Burrow to play the role of number 18 this year. We also got into Davante Adams, firing back at Deshaun Jackson, saying I never talked to him about his potential departure from the Raiders. I made the case that if I'm Davante Adams, I would request a trade and make sure I would hit up the Green Bay Packers and try to get a reunion there. Jake Butt from the Big Ten Network did join us earlier, and he is very optimistic after what he just saw in USC. He said there's no reason why they can't contend for the Big Ten championship. We did our entirety NFL preview in the last hour. Some of the highlights to recap that. I had the Ravens coming out of the AFC, the Rams coming out of the NFC, the Rams defeating the Ravens in the Super Bowl 24-23, and we gave some awards out as well. Josh Allen, I had winning the MVP this year. Doug Peterson winning Coach of the Year and Offensive Player of the Year, just to name some, was Bijan Robinson. Also, as we move through that, I did announce, if you missed it, that obviously I do the show here Monday through Friday from 3 to 6 p.m. Eastern time. And for the last 3 years, I did Ion Football on the network. I made the decision to no longer do Ion Football this year. Instead, I'll be doing a 2-hour preview show that DA used to host called Sunday Morning Football right here on the Infinity Sports Network, which you can now listen to me on Sundays on this network. So you get Gelb 6 days a week on the network. Some people will love that. Some people will send nasty letters to our bosses. But I will be on now Sundays as well from 10 a.m. to noon Eastern time. And the way that I envision that show, first hour college football from 10 to 11. You recap all the games, then all the big plays that happened the night before, and then 11 to 12 will get you set for an NFL Sunday each and every Sunday. And I'll also be adding another day of work to my schedule on Saturdays. Quick show on one of our great sister stations inside the company right down the hall, WFAN in New York, the legendary sports radio station. I'll be hosting a quick 30-minute show, 9 to 9:30 a.m. Eastern on Saturday. So if you want to listen to me on Saturdays for the greatest 30 minutes of radio, you can listen on the free Odyssey app. There has been a replacement for your boy on Ion Football. There's also a name change to Ion Football. I know who it is. I know who the producer is. I know who the host is. I know who the new name of the show is. But it's not my announcement. So I'm not going to make the announcement. But there is, I'll say it this way, an oil boil. That's the best way that I'll say it. I once saw a grown man, Gordon in Vancouver, once oil up boil. If you can't put it together, Gordon's not doing the show. Oil boil. We'll be doing the new 8-hour whip around show, but I'm not going to make the announcement because it's not my announcement to make. So I'll let that person or whatever his real name make that announcement and tell you what the name is. So there we go on that front. Let's listen up to Deshaun Watson. So Deshaun Watson the other day was asked if he still thinks he could be a great quarterback, and are the Browns, after making the playoffs last year with Joe Flacco as their quarterback and finding a way to get to the postseason before they lost to the Houston Texans in the wild card round, are the Browns getting disrespected going into this season? And what are your thoughts, Deshaun Watson, about the Browns being under the radar?
It's fine with us. It's perfect. We're just gonna go under the radar and work. That's all we can do. We don't get into all the power rankings and people's opinions. So it's the NFL. Things change, teams change, rankings change. So it's week 1. The key is to be the best team in week 17. Each week you got to get better, and I think that the teams that do that, you see them rise to the top and end up in that final game, and that's what we got to take that approach.
Quite frankly, I don't think Deshaun Watson said anything wrong there. And I see, there was another clip where they asked, do you still think you could be an elite quarterback? And he was like, yes. So that's what made it a little juicier. But when you hear that clip, it's pretty much a boring pedestrian clip. That is quarterback talk if I've ever heard it. I don't give a rat's ass, though, if Deshaun Watson wants to say he's still great. If Deshaun Watson says, yeah, the Browns are getting slept on, you just got to go 1-0 each and every week, and the goal's not to be the best team in the first week of the season, it's to be the best team at the end of the season. I don't care what Deshaun Watson wants to sell you. The facts are Deshaun Watson got a fully guaranteed contract at the quarterback position. Deshaun Watson, so far in Cleveland, has not been a good quarterback. He has been a bad quarterback. And I know the first year, and it's his own fault, he missed the first 12 games, I believe it was, of the season because of the suspension. And then when he came back, it wasn't like, oh my goodness gracious, Deshaun Watson looked like a superstar in the final 6 weeks that he was able to play. Then last year, he was rusty. It was sloppy. He was just not efficient to start the year. It looked like he was finally putting it together, and then he was out for the season. We now enter year 3 of the Deshaun Watson era with the here we go, Brownies, here we go, hoo, hoo. And he's played 12 games. Now, I get it. The first year he was out for 12 games because of a suspension. But Deshaun Watson so far has not lived up to the contract. But this is really the last time we could take Deshaun Watson seriously entering a season if he does not ball out this year. Because we have not seen Deshaun Watson be a great quarterback since 2020. We haven't seen it. And even in that 2020 season, I know some people are going to say, but Zach, the team stunk. He was terrible. I don't care. Deshaun Watson individually balled out in 2020 for the Houston Texans, his final year playing for the organization. That final year playing for the Houston Texans, he had 4,823 yards passing, 33 touchdowns, and 7 interceptions. The team was dreadful because Bill O'Brien messed up the entire situation on what they had in Houston. So I understand that the team was bad, and we usually just judge a quarterback off their success if they win or they lose. But individually, we saw Deshaun Watson on a crappy team in 2020 have a great season. And Deshaun Watson, his first 4 years in the NFL, looked like he was going to be a superstar quarterback for years to come. Now, he wanted out of Houston before we ever found out about the off-the-field allegations. Those off-the-field allegations were ugly, really ugly, disgusting, despicable. But as long as you are allowed to play in this league, another team will give you an opportunity. And you factored in him already wanting out and then the off-the-field allegations, and the Texans said, okay, we're going to trade you. Now, credit Nick Caserio. He didn't just trade him whenever he thought, okay, we got to just trade him right away and we'll take whatever. They got a king's ransom back. And you look at some of these big quarterbacks that got moved, like the Seahawks ended up winning the Russell Wilson trade. The Packers and the Jets, the Jets go contend for a Super Bowl this year, but the Packers have their future quarterback now in Jordan Love. And the Texans, they have C.J. Stroud, and they won the trade with the Cleveland Browns. So you look at all that's transpired, and he was out all of 2021, out most of 2022, and now this past year only played 6 games in 2023. That's 3 seasons removed. Now entering the 4th season from the last time you could legitimately say Deshaun Watson was a great quarterback in this league. I know what happened with Geno Smith. And people will be like, oh, why are you bringing up Geno Smith? Because Geno Smith was basically irrelevant for 10 years and then had a monster season 2 years ago. That's an anomaly. When you are bad for that long or don't get an opportunity to start, or when you get an opportunity to start, you either get hurt or don't play well for that long, you could still make it in the league. You could still play in the league, but no one's going to view you as someone that we expect to be a great quarterback. And you take a glance at this contract. Stu, can you double check when the contract is up for Deshaun Watson? Because I wonder how many years they have left on the contract. He signed a 5-year deal when he got to Cleveland? And I don't know what factored in terms of an extension. But I wonder how many more years, and I'm just thinking about this at the top of my head, how many more years Deshaun Watson has left on the deal. I want to say it's after 2026 that he hits free agency. What is it?
According to Spotrac, he's a free agent in 2027.
How do you say that?
Spotrac.
Spotrac?
Spotrac.
Huh.
I've always said spot rack.
Spot rack? That sounds a little sexual if we're being serious here. I never know how to say that.
Yeah. I always said Spotrac. I don't know. Might be wrong.
How do you say it?
Spotrac.
Spotrac. I think you may be right. Regardless, we all know that's the website that has the contracts. And on that website, it says what? It's after 2026, so a free agent in 2027?
Correct, 2027.
Now, that's all fully guaranteed. So if Watson stinks this year, he has 2 years left in Cleveland. Now, you could set up your replacement, obviously. But right now, if you're trying to kind of guess how much longer Deshaun Watson has in Cleveland, and is he going to get a second contract, I would say right now he's not going to get a second contract. But this is a huge year for Deshaun Watson. And quite frankly, and I know pressure is an ambiguous term because you could define it many different ways. I don't think there's a quarterback under more pressure this year than Deshaun Watson. Because this is the last chance that I give him to prove that he could be a great quarterback once again. Like, you look inside the AFC East. Stu, let's do this exercise real quickly. I'm just curious what your answer is, and then I'll give you my answer. AFC East, who's the quarterback under the most pressure?
Aaron Rodgers.
Okay, you go Rodgers?
Yeah. It's close. That's a good division, though, with multiple guys.
Yeah, because Allen's perceived to be the third best quarterback in football, but now it's all on him. Tua, he just got paid, right? That's one of the... I would say it's Rodgers because this is like an all-in year for the Jets, and the other guys are younger. And even though Rodgers is already a first-ballot Hall of Famer, even though Rodgers already won a Super Bowl, if he ends his career with only winning one Super Bowl and then going to one Super Bowl, it'd be like, yeah, great player, all-time great player, but yada, yada, yada. So I would agree it is the Jets. AFC North, The player under the most pressure at the quarterback position, I think it's Deshaun Watson.
I agree. Watson for sure.
And I don't think there's a player that tops Deshaun Watson entering this season. AFC South, quarterback under the most pressure. I think we could say this together. Ready? I'll say 1, 2, 3, then we say the name. 1, 2, 3, Trevor Lawrence. There we go. AFC West, quarterback under the most pressure. Go ahead.
It's got to be Herbert with Harbaugh now in town.
Yeah, no more excuses. Just like Deshaun Watson, different reasons, but no more excuses. Like, you now have a professional coach for the Browns. They made the playoffs last year without you. I know Nick Chubb's not going to be there to start the season, but you have Amari Cooper. They traded for Jerry Jeudy. You got David Njoku. You got a heck of an offensive line. You got a defense with on the defensive side of the front part of the ball. The defensive front, you got Myles Garrett. On the back end, you got Denzel Ward. Yeah, I would say it's Justin Herbert. And also he's got paid, and now you can't, even though it was fair to say, oh, Staley sucks, and he just ruined that locker room, now you know Jim Harbaugh is a damn good coach, so now you have to ball out. NFC East, quarterback under the most pressure?
Dak Prescott.
Okay. I actually think it's Jalen Hurts.
Interesting.
And here's why. You could probably vacillate on this one, and if you asked me 2 months ago, I may have said Dak. Dak's going to get paid. Dak is someone that if he gets paid by the Cowboys or not, that's a different conversation, but someone will pay him. And no one expects Dak to get to an NFC championship this year. Like, if you think Dak's getting to an NFC championship game, the Cowboys haven't got to an NFC championship game since 1995. Okay? So that's not going to happen. But the Eagles have Super Bowl expectations. The Eagles have a loaded team, and Jalen Hurts had a great year where he went toe-to-toe and outplayed Mahomes in a Super Bowl even though he lost. And the following year, they started 10-1, and then the petulant fighting between Sirianni and Hurts derailed that season. So that's why I go Jalen Hurts. NFC North, this is a great one. Because you got Goff pressure to win a Super Bowl, Love pressure to do this over the course of entire season, Caleb Williams, an entire city believing in you and hoping you're the guy, and then you got mono and seeing ghost in Sam Darnold, which we can forget about him.
I think it's Caleb Williams. I just think there's so much hype going into the season with him and the team. I think they want instant results, and if they don't get them, look, if they go like 6 or 7 wins, not going to say it's like the end of the world, but I just think there's a lot of pressure on him.
Nico Iamaleava-Scarlatos, who's the quarterback in the NFC North under the most pressure? I think this is a difficult one.
I was going to go with Jared Goff.
Okay.
Because I think that the Lions finally, for the first time in forever, have Super Bowl expectations.
Yeah.
And if they fall short and,
And they already paid him too.
Right. If they lose in the wild card round, that's going to be that's not a successful season for the Lions, and I think Goff's going to take a lot of the heat for that.
No, they're truly Super Bowl or bust. And the question with Jared Goff, he's good enough to get the Rams to a Super Bowl, even though everyone credits McVay. He was good enough last year to get the Lions to an NFC championship game. It's can you get to a Super Bowl and then win a Super Bowl? All right, so Stu went Bears with Williams. Nico went Lions with Goff. All righty. This will be the first time I'll be like an FS1 show and Skip Bayless is on it. I'll just disagree to disagree. I will say it's Green Bay with Jordan Love because Jordan Love is like the flavor of the month now. After his halfway through the season, people are like, yikes. He's not looking all that hot. And then the final 8 games, he was out of this world. Got paid, now put it together for the entirety of the season. NFC South, who's the quarterback under the most pressure, Stu?
Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, and Penix is right there, too.
Yeah, breathing down his neck.
Waiting. Carr's an afterthought. Baker already had his moment. I'll go Bryce Young.
Well, Bryce isn't. Yeah, Bryce. If he has a really bad year, that could be it.
You start thinking about drafting a quarterback.
Like if they finish with one of the 2 or 3 worst records and he doesn't look good, they might think about a quarterback.
That team's going to be bad, but I think you'll see growth with Bryce Young. Dave Canales did a good job in Seattle, did a good job in Tampa Bay. I thought it was a tough job to take, but that's the job Dave Canales was going to get. I think you'll see an improved version of Bryce Young. NFC West, who's the quarterback under the most pressure?
This one's kind of tough. I'll go Kyler Murray, though.
I think so, too, because this is Kyler's year to restore that he could be and show that he could be a good quarterback. But if you want to go Brock Purdy, I could understand it. If you want to even tell me Geno Smith, because, hey, he has 1 year left on his deal. He doesn't play great this year or good this year. They could look to replace him in Seattle, but I do think it is Kyler because the question with Kyler a few years ago was, all right, you're good. Can you be great? Then he tears the ACL, misses most of last year. Now he has to show he could be good once again before he can be great. But Deshaun Watson, right? If you had to say Watson's out in terms of he's not the quarterback under the most pressure, and I do believe he is the quarterback under the most pressure. Stu, who is the quarterback then under the most pressure if it's not Deshaun Watson for you entering this season?
If it's not Deshaun Watson...
Do you agree it's Watson?
I agree it's Watson.
Okay.
And if it's not Watson, I'm between Cousins and Herbert. I think it's Cousins, but just because with his age and the team drafting a quarterback in Penix, I think it's Cousins. Yeah.
Okay.
And the NFC South is a
division.
joke too. They have to win that division. Have to.
Okay. I don't think most people say Cousins, but it's a thought-provoking answer. Nico Iamaleava Scarlatus?
I was going to go with Tua.
Okay. Explain.
And I'm high on Tua. I think the Dolphins
You part of the Tua-anon?
Yeah, I think the Dolphins are going to win the AFC East this year. But he does not get a lot of respect at all. There are tons of people that don't even know if he's a top 10 quarterback in this league. So if he does not go out there and prove it after just getting paid with Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, he is going to get crucified.
Yeah, I do a weekly spot on 560 WQAM, and they asked me that question 2 weeks ago. If the Dolphins don't meet the expectations, and their week one matchup is the Jaguars. A lot on the line there for Trevor Lawrence, a lot on the line for Tua Tagovailoa. If they don't meet the expectations, who gets the majority of the blame? And I think locally, they'll try to make excuses for everybody but Tua, because I think locally there's a lot of support. I think nationally it will easily be Tua Tagovailoa. Who's the quarterback under the most pressure this year? 855-212-4227, 855-212-4227. We come on back. Stu will give me a name of an NFL team, and I will give you 2 words to associate with that team entering this season. Coming on back. Sports fans, listen up. 1 in 8 men will be diagnosed with prostate cancer, and bladder leaks can be a side effect. That's why Depend is teaming up with the Prostate Cancer Foundation to encourage screening. Because health is a long game, and it's yours to win. Now, here's the cool part. Through November, Depend is contributing up to $300,000 to prostate cancer research by donating 40 cents for every purchase of shields, guards, and Real Fit products. Void in Mississippi. Learn more at Depend.com. That's Depend.com.
You're in a 4.5-minute break. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Continues on the Infinity Sports Network.
All right, it is Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. 2 words to associate with some teams coming up in just a bit. 855-212-4227. Let's go to Quinnen in Myrtle Beach next up on the Zach Gelb Show. Q, what's happening?
Hey, what's up, Zach? Man, I love your show. I loved your picks and all the whole playoffs and the Super Bowl. But I wanted to pick your brain a little bit. Who do you think is going to be? You're going to have the third pick, the second pick, and then the first overall pick in the NFL draft?
Oh, that's a great question. I think my New England Patriots are going to be picking first in the NFL draft, and then they will trade the pick and move back a few spots to accumulate more future assets. Then after that, I'll say the Panthers will have the second pick. I think Bryce Young will play better, but they'll still be a really bad team. And then the third pick, it's going to be the Denver Broncos.
Okay, I love your show, man. I just wanted to ask you that. I appreciate you.
Yeah, no, appreciate you. Thanks for listening. Thanks for calling. Quinnen in Myrtle Beach right there on the Zach Gelb Show. All righty. Nico Iamaleava Scarlatos. Where are you from, by the way, Nico? I know you're from New York, right?
Long Island.
Oh, where?
Babylon.
Oh, yeah, that's right, Babylon.
I went to the same high school as Sean.
Oh, okay. You probably did a lot better, though, in school. If I'm being fair there. And Stu is from North Jersey, right?
Central Jersey.
Central Jersey? Is that even a thing?
Yes, it is.
People were wondering a little bit about the last name Scarlatos. Where would that be from? I was thinking maybe Staten Island for some reason, but not the case. So we got Babylon, we got Dixels, Comac, and then we also have, where in Central Jersey?
Jamesburg, New Jersey.
Okay, fine. Jamesburg, New Jersey for Stuart Kovacs. So the two of these knuckleheads on the other side of the glass, they have identified, what do we got, like 14 or 15 teams here? And you're going to give me the team, and then I'm going to give you only 2 words. The first 2 words I think of when that team is given to me, maybe I'll give a little explanation afterwards. All right, let's hit them.
The San Francisco 49ers.
World champions. Those are the 2 words. Anything short of the Niners being world champions this year is an absolute failure. They need to finish the job.
The New York Jets.
Protect Aaron. Those are the 2 words for the New York Jets. Protect Aaron, and obviously we're talking about Aaron Rodgers. You take a glance at this offensive line, improved. You have Moses coming over for the Ravens, now back with the Jets. You also got Smith coming over for the Cowboys. He needs to stay healthy. If not, you got Fashanu out of Penn State. But the part where the Jets could get derailed this year is the offensive line. Now, Rodgers will help out the offensive line, but he needs to stay healthy, and they need to protect Aaron Rodgers better.
The Baltimore Ravens
must finish. Last year, number 1 overall seed, played a crappy first half in the second round, coming off a bye against the Texans, and then they had a game where Kansas City was like, please go to the Super Bowl. We're tired of going to the Super Bowl, and the Ravens couldn't get the job done. Anything that happens in the regular season with the Ravens, it will not ooh, it will not ah. You will not be saying, oh my goodness gracious, even if their play looks like it's oh my goodness gracious play, because they must finish, and they must finish the job in the postseason.
The Buffalo Bills.
All Allen. This is now all Josh Allen. No more Stephon Diggs. Milano out on the defensive side of the ball. It's clear McDermott isn't going anywhere. You're relying on James Cook. You're relying on Dalton Kincaid. You still got the snowman, our buddy Deion Dawkins on the offensive side of the ball. But this is going to be Josh, take us. Josh, lead us. This is all Allen.
The Detroit Lions.
Take advantage. The Lions were in such a crummy spot for years. They were an embarrassing, pathetic, putrid franchise. At the end of the season 2 years ago, they got hot. They beat the Packers. They finished the season on a strong note. And last year, they took that next step, not only making the playoffs. And Lomas Brown told me this heading into last season. I thought it was crazy. He goes, the only way this is a successful season for the Lions is if they win a playoff game. And I was like, wait, you told me the Lions make the playoffs? Lions fans are going to be saying, oh, it's an unsuccessful season? Well, they not only won a playoff game, they won 2 playoff games, and they almost won 3 playoff games, and they almost were in the Super Bowl. Now you need to take advantage of this moment. You never know, especially Lions fans, how often it's going to come around, but there are legitimate Super Bowl or bust expectations for the Detroit Lions.
The Dallas Cowboys.
All drama, because that's what the Cowboys are. What Robert Saleh says, all gas, no brakes. The Cowboys are just all drama, no brakes. That's what Dallas is. They love drama. Jerry Jones loves drama. That's how he evaluates a successful season. You enter this year, yeah, CeeDee Lamb's taken care of. Dak Prescott not going to get a new deal by week 1. Mike McCarthy, he's on the final year of his contract, and the team got worse. This is a reality TV show, the Dallas drama, choking Cowboys, and the Cowboys are all drama.
The Miami Dolphins.
Two a ton. That's the 2 words I have with the Miami Dolphins. Their defense, you got some players coming off of injuries. You got Tyreek Hill. You got Jalen Waddle. You got a tremendous fullback in Ingold. Raheem Mostert, Devon Achane. There's enough talent right there. It's on Tua Tagovailoa. I know there's concerns on the offensive side of the ball, but Tua needs to show me this year that he could win a playoff game. I actually have the Dolphins missing the playoffs, being a good team, but just missing out. But this is Tua time for the Dolphins.
The Houston Texans.
I'm not saying this is going to happen, but the 2 words I think of for the Texans are sophomore slump. You had a rookie coach last year, you had a rookie quarterback last year, and a rookie edge rusher with DeMeco Ryans, CJ Stroud, and then Will Anderson. They had the offensive rookie of the year and the defensive rookie of the year last year, and a tremendous head football coach. Now you go into year 2. And the reason why I think sophomore slump, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but will there be a sophomore slump after having an offseason where everyone praises the Houston Texans?
The Green Bay Packers.
Full season. I believe in this team. I believe in Jordan Love. They made the right moves this offseason. But now I need to see Jordan Love put it together for a full season, because in year 1, it was up and down the first half of the season. In year 2, in the second half of year 1, it was tremendous. So first half rocky, second half was awesome, and actually tremendous, sensational, fantastic, whatever you want to say. Now I got to see Jordan Love put it together for a full season.
The Philadelphia Eagles.
Team chemistry. That team chemistry was elite 2 years ago. Last year, they were 10-1. They weren't playing great. No one was happy. They won 1 game down the stretch. And that's what could prevent the Eagles from getting to a Super Bowl and winning a Super Bowl this year. Every team has flaws, but the Eagles are a well-rounded team, one of, if not the best rosters in the NFL, and there's no reason why Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni can't get along, and they need to get on the same page. Team chemistry, even without Jason Kelce not being there now, is something huge to watch in Philadelphia.
The Cincinnati Bengals.
Quarterback health. They need it. When Joe Burrow is healthy, we've seen him be in the AFC Championship game twice, and we've seen him be in a Super Bowl. 2 years healthy, 2 years in the AFC Championship game with the Super Bowl appearance. The other two, season-ending injuries. The Bengals need quarterback health.
The Cleveland Browns.
Must deliver. And I'm talking about the quarterback, Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson must deliver. It's been a long time since 2020. He was out all of 2021, out most of 2022, injured last year, only played 6 games. He must deliver on that contract with it winding down this year, next year, and then after 2026, he is a free agent. So Deshaun Watson must deliver this year.
The Pittsburgh Steelers.
Quarterback problems. That's what I think of when I think of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Sure, concerns on the offensive line. Russell Wilson dealing with the calf injury going back to July. Now it pops back up this week. He was limited in practice today, and I don't think Russell Wilson's making it through the entire season as the Steelers quarterback. It doesn't mean I'm saying Justin Fields is a long-term answer in Pittsburgh, but I do believe Justin Fields will be starting at some point this year.
Los Angeles Chargers.
Professional coach. They got one. Because Brandon Staley was a professional dope with the Los Angeles Chargers. Oh, that wasn't nice. Starting the football season, I'm in a good mood. But Brandon Staley really, really rubs me the wrong way because of the fact that he was so adamant about the numbers. And it's like, dude, trust your gut. Use your cabeza. You don't have to live and die by the numbers. Now they have a professional coach with Jim Harbaugh coming in. I don't know what to expect out of the Chargers this year, but they will improve with Jim Harbaugh. They have a great offensive line in the making with the 2 bookend tackles, with Alt out of Notre Dame, going to play right tackle, Rashawn Slater, left tackle, Zion Johnson out of BC on the interior, and Justin Herbert is set up for success, hopefully for the long haul, because now he has a professional coach. And I think this will be the last one.
The Chicago Bears.
Rookie sensation. Maybe sensations, because I believe Roma Dunze is going to be phenomenal. But you have 2 other receivers there in Keenan Allen, who's a little bit banged up, and also DJ Moore. But it's all about the rookie sensation of Caleb Williams. The Bears have never had a 4,000-yard passer. Never. I think Caleb Williams is going to do that this year. I think the Bears finally have their answer at quarterback. Quick question for you. How many years did you live in the Windy City of Chicago?
2.5.
Only 2.5?
Yep.
Okay. What are your thoughts on the Bears entering this season?
I like what they've done. I don't think you can go wrong. I think at the very least, Roma Dunze will be solid. I think Caleb Williams will be solid at the very least. And then, again, I'm selling low or buying low. I don't know which of the terms would be. But I think what they've done, they have.
Well, you are always a under deliver. What am I trying to say? Undersell, over deliver, or overachieve. What's the saying here?
Undersell, over buy. I don't know.
Yeah.
So we'll figure that out.
You know what? We're both acting like Bears quarterbers in previous years, just getting it wrong.
They have DJ Moore. They have
undersell, over deliver. I think.
Okay, yes, that is it. But they've improved the offensive line. They have receivers. They have a quarterback. Whether or not he is, the second coming of Patrick Mahomes still remains to be seen. And they've made some good pickups over the years that I think slowly but surely. I'm big on the Bears.
7 wins they had a year ago. Mm-hmm. I gotta think Caleb Williams gets them at least 2 more wins, and they're 9-8 bare minimum.
I don't really want to go on that premise, but I think they're somewhere in there taking steps. I'll put it that way. So maybe they're 7-10, maybe they're an 8 or 9 win team this year, but I think they're taking steps forward. I think there's going to be a lot of heat on the coach. I think he has to. If they win 7 games again and don't show progress, you can win 7 games, but you're saying, okay, Caleb Williams, we had to go through the rookie learning curve and whoever else. But if they have a bad 7-win season, maybe there's no good 7-win season. But if they kind of take a step back in where they're going, I think he's on the hot seat.
Eberflus?
Yeah.
Yeah, if they don't make the playoffs, I think he's out. Now, the only caveat I will say, I also think it depends on how much Caleb Williams likes him.
Look, you're only as good as your players, and I think that goes a long way. But I like where they're going. They've done a nice job very quietly the last couple of years.
Sure.
I thought maybe they should have hung on to that number 1 pick, and basically Ryan Poles traded it for the next year to get Caleb Williams and some more.
Ended up working out all right.
Yeah, it worked out okay for them. So
and you got DJ Moore with that too.
Yeah, so that has worked out, and again, they've drafted well so far. So
Daly tells me in the YouTube chat, it's under promise, over deliver.
Under promise, okay,
Right,
same
so
thing.
We're in the same ballpark.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, it is Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. We'll come on back with the news brief, get you set for the game tonight. Update time first. Here he is, the Act Man, Rich Ackerman.
Infinity Sports Network Sports Flash.
Tear down. Summer still has a couple of weeks left, but the season is changing because the NFL is here, and it begins tonight with a great matchup as usual for the season opener, with the Chiefs coming off back-to-back championships, going for a three-peat, and will host the Ravens to begin their title defense. Baltimore lost to KC in the AFC Championship game last year. It was a bitter pill to swallow for Lamar Jackson and company. We're hoping that this is their year.
We was close. It was close, but we got to get back where we was. And like I always say, finish. But week 1, it start Thursday night.
Baseball this afternoon. The Mariners have a 4-2 lead now over the A's in the top of the 7th. Brent Rooker with a home run for Oakland in this one. The Diamondbacks and Giants are even at 2 in the bottom of the 7th. Blake Snell left this game after 1 inning. He threw 42 pitches. It's not known if it was because of the number of pitches he threw in that first or there was an injury. The Twins edged the Rays 4-3, and the Reds blanked the Astros by a score of 1-0 as Rhett Lauder combined with 2 relievers on a 4-hitter. The women's semis take place tonight at the U.S. Open. Emma Navarro and Arina Sabalenka are up first, followed by Jessica Pegula and Karolina Muchova. I'm Rich Ackerman.
You make the call. 855-212-4227. When you want to talk to us, call 855-212-4227.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Hey, this is Howie. And this is Nick. From the Backstreet Boys. And you're listening to the Zach Gelb Show. And guess what? Zach is back. All right.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show.
And this portion of the Zach Gelb Show is brought to you by Ethos Life, the easy way to get life insurance in 10 minutes, up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam and just a few health questions. Get your free quote at checkethos.com. Not available in all states. Hey, Stu, for most of the day, I like the Ravens plus the points tonight, and I like the Ravens to actually win the game outright against the Chiefs. I just saw a tweet from, I think you say this guy's last name, Fawkes? I don't know. I feel like there's just too many ways I could say that where I curse on the air. Fawkes. How would you say that?
I would say how you said it.
Fawkes?
Sure. Yeah.
Don't throw you in there.
Yeah.
Nico Yamaliava Scarlatos would be dumping. Ben Fawkes, we'll go with. Man. He said, huge Chiefs-Ravens wager comes in on DraftKings Sportsbook. Someone put $300,000. Huh? $300,000 in the Ravens money line tonight, plus 130. Whenever I see a bet that big, I'm like, the other team's going to win. That's just the way that I think. So I was Ravens all day. Now I'm starting to think the Chiefs, but I'll pick the Ravens. I'll stick with my gut tonight. Anyway, let's update you some of the biggest stories in the world of sports with some audio. We get to a news brief. Right now.
Time for your daily news brief. We get you caught up on the rumors, reports, and reconnaissance from the day in sports.
Let's start things off with Deshaun Watson. He was asked earlier, we talked about this a little bit, is he still elite?
highest level at Clemson, and then again in the NFL. Do you feel like you still are among the elite quarterbacks in this league?
Of course, no doubt.
What do you expect him to say? No, he's not, but he's got to prove that he could be really good once again. Let's go to Bill Belichick. He used to call Instagram InstaFace. Bill Belichick is now on Instagram. Here is Bill Belichick's first appearance on the InstaFace, which is called Instagram.
Hello, everyone. Surprised to see me here? Well, I am too. Over the past few months and not being with a team, I haven't had the opportunity to express my thoughts at a moment's notice. So now I'm changing that. I tried to join Snapface, but I couldn't find it. I decided this was a good place for me to land so I could talk to you and share what I'm up to because there's a lot going on. So here I am. Hello, InstaFace. See you soon.
He's playing into it. Can we get the truth there from Bill? You know, now I have a 27-year-old girlfriend who's on Instagram a lot. And, you know, even though I see her in person, I just really want to look at her photos too. Alrighty? So now I am on Snapface too. Those are the Snap Faces, which are private chats, which you know what goes on in the Snap Face. But let's be real with the InstaFace. I'm here. Alrighty. Bears Nigerian. Set me up an InstaFace account. So there you go. Bill on the InstaFace. Here is Brandon Cooks, Cowboys wide receiver, defending his quarterback. That's my quarterback. That's my quarterback. Dak Prescott.
Blasphemy. It's unbelievable. I mean, the guy shows up every year, year in and year out, putting up numbers, leading his team. He can't do it all by himself, right? You know, a lot of those great quarterbacks that I've been with, Tom and Drew, they, don't get me wrong, won a lot of games, won a lot of Super Bowls, but they had a lot of help around them as well, right? And so us players around them also got to step up. And so when we hear that disrespect, you know, I take that personally, and as his teammates, we should take that personally, because at the end of the day, somebody got to be able to help him get over that hump so we can go win one.
Yeah, the problem is, though, the Cowboys have had enough talent. Not this year, but they had enough talent, and Dak couldn't get the job done. So let's stop. It's nice of Brendan Cook to say that, but let's stop with that nonsense. Here is Justin Jefferson, right? It came out that Jamar Chase wants like a penny more than Justin Jefferson. The two of them friends going back to LSU. This is Jay Jetta's on Jamar Chase's contract.
I haven't really talked to him about it too much, but I'm pretty sure or confident that he's going to, you know, be about his business and show when he needs to show up. And I mean, I hope that he gets the deal and hope that he gets the contract that he's looking for. But I also hope that he plays it smart and not let it get in the way of, you know, his greatness and being on that field.
All righty, we go from Justin Jefferson to Patrick Mahomes. Mahomes playing tonight once again. The three-time Super Bowl champion, the three-time Super Bowl MVP says it is a whole new season and nothing from the past matters.
I don't think last year's too much in your mind. I mean, you're so focused on trying to get better, and I mean, we're playing the best of the best. I mean, week one. So we're going to see where we're at. We're going to go out there and play our best football early in the season.
I can't wait for the game tonight, which comes your way after 8 o'clock here on the East Coast with the Ravens and the Kansas City Chiefs in Kansas City. Let's go to Sean Payton. We already know that he named Bo Nix his starting quarterback. Now Bo Nix is a team captain.
You know, that's not something that happens that often. And so I think, you know, it's something you earn. And these guys, you know, all of them voted on these guys. And it was probably as clean a result that I'd seen in a while relative to those players that were all selected. But, you know, it's unusual for a rookie to get made a captain, and yet by nature that position to some degree is leading. And so, but that was something that I think organically takes place throughout the spring and training camp, and you know, goes from there.
Pat Surtain II is their best player. The face of the franchise now is Bo Nix. We'll see how long we could say that. Here's Urban Meyer in the triple option. He has high praise for Nico Iamaleava.
I went back and watched Tennessee, and they have a quarterback that I called Matt Leinart and Brady Quinn this morning after watching this thing. His name's Nico Iamaleava. I watched the whole, and it's Tennessee Chattanooga, so they were overmatched, the opponent they played. I mean, they were so much better. But this guy, as far as a body type, to stand there athletically and throw the ball came out like a missile. He was a 5-star product coming out of high school. I asked this question: is he a top 10 pick in the NFL draft to Brady and Matt? He's got another year left. This guy is unbelievable, Mark. I can't believe. I know they had Joe Milton, I believe, last year, but this guy is a monster.
Nico.
Because of him, I'm putting them to cover the spread, and I think they'll be a playoff team because of this guy.
He's 6'6". Big guy. 6'6", Nico Yamaliava. Finally, Jason Kelsey, the New Heights podcast, reveals he lies to his daughter to avoid getting a cat.
You know what my latest plan to divert our family from getting a cat is? I just keep telling our girls that cats are poisonous.
Why the would you tell them that?
So that they don't want cats, and I don't have to deal with having a cat and make them terrified
That's
of them.
sick.
It's whatever. They'll find out. I think lying to your kids is important.
They're going to go over a friend's house and scream bloody murder because they see a cat.
Sounds like that person's house problem.
You're a psycho.
Nico, yes or no? You a cat guy?
Nope.
Stu, you have like 3 cats, right?
2, yes. Very much a cat guy.
I would never get a cat. Dog or cat, I'm going dog. Cats scare me. I have a buddy and his fiance. I'll go to their house like a few times a year. They live in South Jersey. They have a cat, Zeke. Very nice cat. Kind of acts like a dog. That's like the only cat I've ever liked. I'm like mildly allergic to cats. You know, my throat always gets scratchy. But I never got the purpose of a cat. But hey, you do you. 2 cats, though.
2 cats. They're
That's
great.
cleaning that litter box.
Hey, it's better than walking a dog at 4 a.m. when it's cold and rainy.
Fair. But the litter box, see, that scares me. All righty, enjoy the football. It starts tonight. We'll be back tomorrow to recap it all. Big football Friday tomorrow, college and the NFL. Big thanks to Jake Butt for joining us. Nico, thank you. Stu, thank you. Each and every one of you. Thank you as well. Enjoy the football, everybody. We out. Bye-bye. Peace. We back.
You're in a 5-minute break.